And we're late.
Yes, we are.
So this week has been a disaster for all of us. We all got here like at maybe a minute before the start time of the show. Uh, Fern Fern got the brunt of Mike Krabby when I got back, and his mic didn't work.
Yeah, Discord tried to help again.
Yeah, and then we got to fix his thing, and then Paul wasn't feeling good, so he didn't get here until start time. So we have no research, but push comes to shove, we got a whole expansion to keep making fun of.
Yay! Also,
Because
I just got a new hat that makes me look like a chicken.
it's he.
Buck, 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 buck.
Yes, we are in instance 1 of the third zone. We have not started any type of anything in the zone. Our shared fates are, well, mine's here just to get the mount speed. That one puts me at, that's the Aether things. Uh, uh,
Hey,
yeah, I
oh,
am
you're
at,
back over there.
yeah,
Get off the Aetherite so I can click it, would you?
zoom in your camera.
That is zoomed in.
Zoom in harder. Get on my chicken, and I will take you down to the bottom half of the zone.
Well, I just came back from that Aetherite, so
Yes. Still can't fly.
no.
You will still need my chicken.
Chicken?
Chimkin.
It's a chicken on a chicken. Let's go.
So yeah.
It's been a mess of a week for all of us, yeah.
Yeah, this has been an awful week.
Yeah. So last week I was in the work hole because of drunk cowboys. This week I was in the work hole because a certain nameless politician, who I'm not going to mention on the show, kind of messed up our schedule completely. So
Well, while you may
yeah.
want to keep him as a customer, if he is going to be a customer, I would,
it's not the politician you're thinking it is.
yeah, I would
So,
I would go
yeah.
ahead and get that shame out there. You're not going to see any change unless you make these people feel embarrassed to exist.
Yeah, it's not directly the politician's fault. It's more of his office.
Chicken, you cannot fly.
I do need. Yeah, I'm gonna get used to that again. All right, so yeah, that kind of threw my roster completely out the window. Ow. Well, that was pointless.
Oh, there's a follow up.
So yeah, as far as nerdy stuff I did this week, unfortunately, didn't do as much Final Fantasy as I would have liked. It's only the last couple of days I've really actually gotten anywhere.
I desperately need you to try and hammer through that story so that we can just
Unleash our rage and sorrow.
yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't reached kind of the negativity you guys have with it yet, but I'm only about what 2/3 of the way through it, halfway through it.
It did not take that long for it to start for me. It started
Yeah.
with the googly eyed giants.
I just thought that I was wrong at that point. Like I still had hope. Well, maybe this is just a slow starter.
Yeah.
But it continued to be maybe this is just a slow starter throughout the next few zones.
I have to admit, I did kind of go, hang on, we're doing a cooking contest to decide who's going to be the king. What?
Yeah. There is hints of a good idea in part 2 of this story and a workable narrative they can set up with some interesting conflicts that they have no time to execute on because they've already burned 2/3 of the story on that stupid contest.
I'm assuming Act 2 starts when you reach the Golden City or whatever that is, which is what the cyberpunky area, I assume.
That's pretty much the break point. And then it's going to move into a different. Well, it's like you reach the Golden City, and that's the goal, right? So the coronation will happen, and part 2 of the story is the wake of the coronation.
Yep. All right. So yeah, I'm kind of getting there. I will admit though, like with the other expansions, there was always some kind of hook that made me want to come back and see what happened next. I'm not really getting that hook with this one.
Because this is a story entirely set up for how much do you like Wu Lamont? And the answer is no, you don't. Nobody likes Wu Lamont. That is how much.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't.
I
Wouldn't
was
say I hate her. She's just kind of there.
I hate her. I openly and brazenly will say she is the worst thing to ever happen to this video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, in isolation, if she was an NPC standing on a street corner somewhere, then I wouldn't hate her. But the reality is that you are joined at the fucking hip, and you cannot get away, ever.
Yeah.
Well, I think I sent Ari a screenshot of it where you've been able to there's a brief sequence in the game where you get away from her, and you go and you have adventures with Erenville for a while, and
That
it's all
sounds
cool.
that sounds like fun, actually.
It's
I
cool.
want to know I want to know what Erenville's deal is because he's got this whole thing and it just hasn't done yet.
He gets massively underused. I don't know if they suddenly start using him more, but he's massively underutilized from what I've seen.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
At the point you're at, they just ain't got enough time to keep going. They're
Yeah,
gonna try.
from where I stand, it basically looks like there's almost no game left, and they haven't started, doing any kind of emotional climax yet.
Yeah, they're gonna try, but they just ain't gonna have the time to do anything.
Yeah. Is what I hope they don't put Erenville's whole arc into the post story patches.
No,
That would
I'm not getting that feeling. I think that the feeling that I'm getting is that the writer did not realize that people were going to be more invested in Erenville than Wiklamat.
I wonder why.
I mean, given who we're stuck with, yeah, we care more about Erenville.
Yeah.
Well, we
more the
know
point,
Erenville.
we spent a zone with Erenville, kind of figuring out what he's all about a little bit.
Well, we spent time as frogs with the man.
Yes, which was weird.
Being told how unfrog-like our frog impersonation was. And I was sitting there the whole time thinking, I bet Fern's a good frog.
Speak for yourself, yeah. I did entirely sell that frog. But yeah, it's like this is a character who's already established, and we want to know what his whole deal is, or we want to know more about what Kryle's whole deal is. And yeah, okay, Wooklamat could have been a vehicle for that, but she kind of does take over the story.
Where I'm up to in the story, it feels like Kryle is going through her own sort of myth arc off screen or something. Like, because she's had all of the point where I'm up to, she's had all these revelations and stuff about what was actually going on and so on, and the motivation for her journey and etc. etc. And it's just like the camera doesn't look at any of it. The camera's just focused squarely on Wiklamat at all times.
Yeah, you're gonna get a real abrupt bit for her story in Zone 6 that is gonna step on the gas and flip the nitro switch, and then we're done with that one.
But the thing is that in Zone 5, they have like big reveal in the span of about 3.5 seconds, and then it just gets completely ignored for the rest of the zone.
Here's your reveal, Kryle. Now get out.
So incompetently paced.
I really do not like that. Because they've been building Kryle's thing up for, 4 expansions now? 3?
Kryle's story has been
she first
building
turned up,
ever since Eureka is when they really started to put some backstory on Kryle.
Yeah. We'll just move on to the next one.
It was such a ripe plot line to pick from, because they had, of course there's not time to have everybody in the focal point of the story. What they had done with Kryle previously is basically built her into the I'm just not quite as special as everybody else character, who has to always provide support because she doesn't have the chops to stand on the front lines. But because they had done that with her, everybody has got a certain amount of sympathy for her and familiarity with her, and an understanding of where she is at relative to the others in the story, and so on and so forth. So she was like in pole position to be the focus of the story, this expansion, and they just chose not to because Wook Lamart. Wook Lamart is like the writer's furry OC or something.
Uh, I hate that you just said that because that does actually make a lot of sense.
Like if I am not seeing a character sour an entire people on a race centered combo as hard as Wook Lamont has for female Rothgars.
Yeah, every time I see one, I just think of every time I see a female Rothgar anywhere in this game, I just think of Wook Lamart and my lip curls.
And we just go back to them being like the string pullers behind the scenes of Frostwire Society where you didn't actually see them.
Well, apparently that's something specific to Bosnia. Like that's the way Rothgar Society works in that region and nowhere else.
Yeah.
Just wait till you get to your boy BJJ's character arc, we'll call it. I have been getting on people's butts for calling BJJ as a character that has a character arc instead of a character whiplash.
It's not a character arc. It's more of a character Dirac Delta.
Yeah, it's a this guy was the schoolyard bully that stepped on our tacos.
Well, last I saw him, he was having horrible flashbacks about pots and ran away.
Since that was a math joke, I better put an explanation in the chat.
You probably should, yes. But yeah, like up until this point, he's kind of been like the Saturday morning cartoon villain. So I want to see if he actually does anything beyond that.
He does, but
he also doesn't.
There's a big ol' asterisk on that. So I'm going to.
I'll do that differently. Let's see.
Yeah, linking to Wikipedia. How dare you?
I am going to also. Yeah, that is a very good.
I can't remember what it was from because I was a C student in math. I can't remember what you use the Dirac Delta for, but that's what a Dirac Delta function looks like, and that is the shape of the plot arc.
I have not seen a Dirac Delta since high school.
I've got one more post, and then I will fly us to the fate that just popped over there, Fern.
Okay.
I'm
so anyway,
copying some stuff real quick before we jump on to the next topic a bit and jump into Fern's week. I'm dumping it in live show chat. I have posted some because I can't directly link there, or Ball's government will get mad.
Holy multiple walls of text, Batman.
I have been trying to parse just how much I hate this story by writing it down.
You're working out your feelings in public like a woman.
Let me tell you, you're thinking you probably thought of it doing it too because it's just impossible with how bad this story is.
No, I just whinged to you. I forced you to be my emotional sponge like a woman.
Like it is. I absolutely needed to process this, and the only way I could process this well was to write it down and figure it out. And I'm like, there's a community of people that I could sit here and whine about, and they'll agree with me.
Oh no, you have discovered the appeal of social media.
Oh, hell no.
Dark slope to.
Hell no, not social media. I go to the place that'll get Vol arrested if he opens it in his browser.
I mean, yeah.
It's an old school internet forum. Probably the opposite of social media.
I don't know what it is about the farms that has the New Zealand government so tetchy.
Probably because it's got Kiwi in the name.
Maybe. I figure that they're somehow bringing the name of the country into disrepute. I mean, they are kind of a disreputable bunch. I can't help you, Aristeel. My healer's on cooldown.
I'm fleeing.
Just, run away. Jeez, those telegraphs come out quick.
Oh, I'm toast. Where's my second win button? Here we go.
Engage from the fate.
That's...
Disengage from the fate. Disengage from the fate.
Disengage! Run away!
And you're not abandoning the fate. You are just trying to run along its
No,
edge.
I am. I'm not abandoning it just yet. Okay, now I am.
Yeah. It's we don't lose progress if you just let the things de-aggro and run away.
Dear, dear. So yeah, what sort of response have you been getting for your screed over there?
That is the Internet Hive of Scum and Villainy number 2. It's 4chan in a suit. They all agree.
Right.
And I have been brutal to this game in my posts. Like I am this MSQ has, as far as I'm concerned, it has nothing salvageable. Also, you all now know my farms account, so you can go out me if you wish. But
Well, you at least have a First Amendment, so and you operate a family business, so you're not going to lose your job. You are not at a great deal of risk.
no. But it
There we go.
I'm still stuck in combat with varmints.
That was a lot of EXP. I got a Chivo.
Nice. Chicken.
Oh no, it wasn't a Chivo. I mean a challenge log entry thing.
I
I
see.
haven't done any
okay.
play, which means that they're cropping up today because I haven't had chance to play until now.
What happens if I teleport while you burns on the back of my mount?
I just get dumped on the ground. Thankfully, you didn't do it in midair, because if you do that, it dumps us back at the local aetheryte.
Oh, people are
Oh, there you are.
teleporting. People are
Me.
teleporting. Get on my chicken.
I'm trying to click
Chicken.
through the aetheryte now.
Yeah, I am fully mask off at this point. I tried to play coy with it the first few weeks. I just don't care anymore.
Just hope it gets better. Hope it gets better. It didn't get better.
No, I very rarely feel like my time has just been utterly wasted by a piece of media, even if it's terrible. This game,
I mean, the fundamental reality that I've been dealing with all this time is that I don't. There's more than one game in town for me now. I've got other things to play. Like it's been all I can do to avoid just dropping Final Fantasy 14 and playing Xenoblade Zone Zero instead because I want to see what the story is there. It can't possibly be worse than what had been served up to me here.
That's
Yeah.
another hole I need to jump back into.
yeah. So, Vern, you gotta stick with it and get caught up so that we can really tear into this thing.
We commiserate together about our time being wasted by something that we formerly loved.
I'm more likely to ultimately go the even worse path. Complete apathy.
It's I am still seeing people go, "Oh, you're just mad because you're not the main character," and I just start going into literal shaking rage when I see people post this.
Is that a bad thing?
No, it's not.
Is it a
that's
bad
not the
thing to
problem.
want to be the main character when you play the main character in a game? Because
Yeah.
it seems to me like that reasoning is just cope.
Yeah, it just every time I see that, I just start getting, so you don't care about the piece about your warrior life that you've spent forever customizing? How many times have you fantasied because you care so much about your experience? How much time have you spent on a Eorzea collection? Even if you don't do those things, how many hours have you spent as the main character already?
It seems to me that a lot of the people who use that particular line of reasoning a lot seem to be Fantasia fiends as well.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I say the problem isn't that you're not the main character. That's fine. You can have a great story built that way, but having your character be a non-entity is the issue.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even mind that if I was not also being railroaded.
Yes.
Like, my objection is that they are constantly telling me what my character thinks and feels about Wicklemart.
In the latest write-up I did for the farms, I just posted my batch of 4 posts that I've made so far. My latest write-up, I complained about how we just have this collective moment of retardation in between
There we go.
in between going to the goblins and going to the googly-eyed giants, where Wuklamat sees somebody call her from back towards the Goblin village. Oh, hang on, I'll just go see what's up here, and let me go
What could
check.
possibly go wrong?
Oh, sure, okay. And then she gets kidnapped while we're all standing around on the road, just wait for Wuklamat. Wait again.
Yeah, that was really dumb.
And like, no, me and Alphinoth using Nidhogg's eyes as a shot put ball was really dumb. This was a level of
That was
retard.
dumb.
This is
How
a
much
level
of
of
the story just would never have happened if they had dealt with those eyeballs properly?
You would have basically lost at least half an expansion worth of content. Probably a full expansion.
like.
I think it might be several expansions.
Pretty much, yeah. They're going to show up again, you know it.
I think they got dejuiced so hard they're written out of existence now.
They can only contain so much fuel.
Yes.
So
Anywho.
so yeah, you let that happen, and not only does our little retard get kidnapped after that, but she gets kidnapped by normal ass roadside bandits.
No, she gets kidnapped by shitty roadside bandits.
Yeah, they're not even good.
They're not even good
And that-
bandits.
They're weak and cowardly.
But don't worry, this cat failure is totally good to be Hokage of the hidden South American villages.
Yeah.
And she will tell you, boy, will she ever tell you.
Like
She's got to believe.
She's got to believe.
I introduced that particular vernacular to the farms with my posts, and it seems to have caught on.
Yeah, I mean that was my I think I told you about it last week. That was my immediate it took me a while to work out what it was that she was reminding me of, but yeah, it was Naruto. I mentioned last week that she just thinks that she can get to where she's going by insistently proclaiming it.
Believe it. I'm gonna see if I can get some water while I'm auto flying us to the next Fate Fern.
All right. I should probably talk about my week then. And there's not too much in the way of gaming. Oh, dear.
This is fun to watch, I gotta tell you.
Oh, I don't like this. Help. Oh, this is a terrible
Lol.
idea. Anywho, yeah, I didn't do a whole lot of gaming. It's just lots of little bits and pieces here and there. Barely even made any progress in Star Rail or anything like that. I did meet the leader of the Lofu, who is. There's something going on there because everyone's saying, "Oh, she's really, really nice." No, she's kind of a bitch to me.
No, she's not the leader of the Lofu. She's the head of the Starfaring Commission.
Oh, yeah, sorry, the Starfaring Commission.
She's got a lot of history. She's I would call her a good person, generally speaking, but she's pretty. Even Foxians live quite long lives. They live 300 or 400 years, and she's got a lot of trauma in her past because she was like a. This is like incredibly mild spoilers. She was like an ace, a flying ace in the war against the Borisin, and it's left an awful lot of scars.
Ah, fair enough then.
Guys, what was terrible things for happening to us?
Just flying off into the
You're-
void, no control.
You're crashing into various things and spiraling into the sky.
Yeah, it was not.
It was a bit of a. I was
great.
hoping for a Team Rocket moment.
It wasn't far off. So yeah, unfortunately I haven't really gotten too far on that because it's just. Yeah, it's also that kind of start of story downbeat before things actually start happening. It's not particularly the most interesting bit.
Luofu has a very odd sort of pace to it. A lot of people don't like it and think it's generally too slow. And I can sympathize. I liked it, but I can sympathize with the opinion that the whole thing is slow and weirdly paced because basically it's a function of the fact that their characters are all so abnormal compared to conventional characters because they have, each of them might have several centuries worth of history behind their motivations. So a lot of the sort of the driving incidents behind the character part of the story, because there's a couple of parallel stories going on there. A lot of people didn't like that, and I can understand that perspective as well. In that there is the sort of the enemy insurgency that takes place during that plot line, but there is also sort of like the inside baseball where you've got a bunch of like grand muckety mucks from the Luofu who have a lot of history together from the Borisan War, and the sort of the tumult of them essentially dealing with the trauma of that and the way that things got really, really out of hand in the process, and the way that this has, you know, multi-century sort of implications for the situation on the Luofu, because everybody lives for so damn long.
Yep. So, all right. So I'm going to keep picking away at that a little bit. Mostly, I want to find out like what is Kafka's deal. Although I have a sneaky suspicion we're
You
never going to really find that out.
you do and you don't.
Yeah,
There
sounds about right.
you will have a moment where Kafka offers you an opportunity to play a truth and lies game where you will each tell each other a truth and then a lie and then a truth and then a lie,
Okay.
and you can ask her whatever you like, you know, within the options of the game, but she will tell you either a true answer or a lying answer. So you can go online onto the wiki and find out what all of the responses are, and then interpolate from that which ones are true and which ones are lie, because you can also ask questions that force her to give away whether she's telling the truth or a lie in exchange for expending one of your questions.
Okay.
But
So,
yeah,
as a
so you
community
can
effort,
find out.
everyone could dig it all out.
Oh yeah, if you go onto the wiki, you can find out which ones are true and which ones are lies. So you can,
Yeah.
in fact, get a little bit of information on her backstory, but there's not that much as of yet. There's this sort of almost noodle incident called the Japella Rebellion. That's what Kafka's character trailer is about. If you look on the YouTube channel for Honkai Star Rail, her little like lore vignette is about her being on trial for her role in the Japella Rebellion. But they don't tell you anything about it. It's just mentioned in various places in the game and in the promotional media repeatedly that, oh, well, there was this incredibly catastrophic incident that Kafka deliberately incited called the Japella Rebellion, but nobody knows why she did it, and it's implied that she did it on orders from her boss, the Slave of Destiny.
Yep.
But she does have personal motivations. The one thing that always comes out ultimately, no matter whether she tells you the lying version or the true version, is that she essentially raised you
Right.
as Trailblazer. Like she's not. There is one which is it's sort of semi-transparently a lie, where she actually claims to be biologically your mother in some capacity. But
Yeah, I think that's a lie.
but she's definitely the one who was basically your mentor and caretaker in the past. That's why she has you to bring to the space station.
In a box.
She was, in fact, your Dami Mummy.
Oh boy.
Oh no, there is an audience for that. We have established that.
And it's called the character designer for Star Rails.
Well, there's
Yeah.
other audiences as well. I might get into that when I do my report on the latest news drop from them, because I watched the hour-long live stream on VOD after the fact.
Nice. So yeah, I'll get back into that. I also want to get back into Xenoblade Zone Zero. I've only basically finished the tutorial and haven't touched it since.
Yeah, that's where I'm up to as well.
What I did play, I had a lot of fun with.
I unlocked pick your protag.
Oh
As-
yeah, the
so
pick your pro tag really isn't that big a choice like it is in the other ones.
Well, it's not a
I
choice.
think it is a big choice, because they are two characters.
They are actually
they-
characters, yes.
Yeah, they have their own independent personalities and opinions, and they're very different from each other, and
Yeah,
so
it's-
they interact with characters differently as well.
Yeah, but ultimately you're really just choosing which one you're driving around, because both of them tend to be
Both of them-
together.
They
anyway.
they remain present in the story as of the beginning. I don't know if there's any kind of separation that takes place later in the story. We don't know.
I
that,
hope not.
because we haven't played.
I
it far
really
enough.
hope not.
it is still mostly a non-choice, especially for those of us with the correct taste, because one of them has penis.
I think I made the right choice because I went with the guy, because that means Belle is free to be Belle.
They've also each got their own bedroom, and only the one for the character you picked is unlocked. And from what I've seen online, Wise's bedroom is incredibly orderly. Belle's bedroom is not.
It is, but you look in the corners of Wise's bedroom, and there's some weird stuff in the corners.
Might want to go turn in his stuff. This is a turn a minimum.
Turn him into minimum. Where's the duber? There he is.
Do we have enough? I haven't been keeping track of what we've.
You only need like 8 to get full credit.
Yeah. Grasshopper shrooms. So
Why are they
yeah, most of
beating
my
me up?
week has actually been anime more than anything else. Hang on, let's just deal with the
haven't-
grasshopper shrooms.
I haven't watched any anime in weeks. I've got too many video games on the go.
All right, I'll start with the easy one first, and that is Demon Slayer, the new training arc, because it is a very, very simple arc.
Yeah, I've seen like massive quantities of complaints about it when it was airing online.
Ultimately, they could have boiled it down to a single 1 hour episode. Honestly,
But it's because each episode was literally a page in the original.
yeah, I could believe that. So you got a whole bunch of episodes where it's Tanjiro goes and trains with this guy, and then Tanjiro goes to the train with the next one, and there's no content. It's just he's
It
doing
was
a thing.
basically in the original version. I haven't read it myself, but this is what people online were saying, and occasionally they would show a picture. The original version was literally basically a training montage,
Yeah,
and they've just taken each frame from the training montage and expanded it to an episode.
yeah, and it feels like it.
It's literal filler.
Yeah, and
Which
all
is
of that
odd
is in
because
aid
Demon
of...
Slayer's complete.
Yeah, but the thing is that most of the studio was probably working on the massive movie for the conclusion.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
And it's all
build up...
it's all going to take place in that ridiculously psychedelic tower.
Yeah.
So you know where UFO Table are going to be putting their animation budget.
Yeah. So you've got 7 episodes of Tanjiro walking around being a complete goober, and then you have episode 8, which is just hype from start to finish. And I wouldn't say it redeems it, but that's where all the budget went, is into episode 8. Yeah, the plot actually happens all in that one 40-minute episode. All the effects, all the budget. It's just hype. There's also no Nezuko anywhere, which is, a crime according to some people. So yeah, that was that. There's not a whole lot to talk about because most of that arc is filler. It's just that final episode. So you have the big bad who's shown up, and it's all basically set the stage for, hopefully, the big finale movie.
I'm gonna die. I died.
You died.
Oh
Not
wait,
Dad.
I can fix that in 10 seconds.
Robot, do something. Robot is not very good at AoE. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Gotta find a Vala cell.
What
Okay, I'm
happens
running
when
out.
they take Rez away from summoners?
You had to wait
There
on
won't be much
Swiftcast because I use Swiftcast for DPS. Like a real summoner.
Like a real summoner. On what? You swift cast a ruin?
No,
Ruby,
you swift
probably.
cast different.
I
that's
Swiftcast the Garuda special thing.
Okay. Alright, I can run back in now.
The one, you mean the one that always lands in the wrong place and does no good?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
one
that
that people always pull the boss out of? That thing.
Well, it looks like poop. You don't want to stand in poop, do you?
It does look like poop. It looks like a no-no zone. Alright, so that's that. Other anime I watched is the Deer anime, which honestly it's dumb. It's just very silly and light.
Well, it's a gag anime. Of course, it's dumb. The
I'm also
point.
like 90% sure it's an advertising vehicle for Nara Park.
Well, yes.
Come to Nara Park, see the deer, and possibly our deer-themed gremlin. So, yeah, the whole thing is there to sell you deer cookies.
The main character, the blonde girl, has a lot of fans though. She's very popular online.
Yeah. There's also the latest episode 3, I think, as of the time of recording, is basically the fulfillment of the meme, where all that came from, and it is something. I'll give him that.
Oh, there's a follow up with a up arrow. Turn.
Ooh, go back. So yeah, the props to the Koshi's voice actor for committing to the bit and not cringing into a puddle. I'll just say that. Because, oh boy. The other one I watched was Osan Adventurer, which is all about a 30-year-old guy who decides he's going to go into it being an adventurer with, all the disadvantages that tends to come with it in that world. They skip a lot of the training and basically just go straight to the payoff. As episode 1 is all about like, who are these people? Why are they here? And yeah, there was 2 years of training, but we're just going to skip all that because it was hell and you don't want to see it. And now instead, we're going to set the stage. Here's a couple of bad guys, and here's a tournament arc. Off we go. It's dumb, again, and I wouldn't say it's good, but I kind of enjoying it. Yeah. There is one other anime I want to watch, but I can't actually find anywhere, and that is Kinnikuman Man. There is a new series of Kinnikuman Man.
But why?
I know, right? I remember as a kid, the original. No, it was the second arc of Kinnikuman Man got the 4Kids dub. It was called Ultimate Muscle, and it was hamtastic.
Isn't that the thing that resulted in the Quetzalcoatl event from FGO not being able to do a rerun?
That does sound familiar, yes.
Because apparently there were too many overlaps for it to be safe from accusations of being a ripoff rather than a affectionate parody, which it obviously was, but lawyers don't care
Kinnikuman
about
Man
that.
is all about an alien who wants to be a superhero, but he's not very good at it, and he's also a wrestler. Whereas Quetz is
An alien who wants to be.
Yeah, the Mesoamerican gods in Type Moon lore are literally aliens that came on the meteor that killed the dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
They're like a microbe, and they basically infest and take over a local life form.
Yeah, and yeah, she is also an alien who wants to be a superhero, isn't very good at it, but is completely wrestling themed.
Is a luchadora.
She is a luchadora.
Yeah.
And they both wear masks, even though, in Kinnikuman Man, the mask is disturbingly flesh-colored. For both protags, it's weird.
Yeah.
But
can we have FGO Quetz as our tag along for not South America in this game?
That would be a completely different story.
It would anything.
Story.
It would be a very strange story as well.
It'd be better than what we got.
I'm so tired of what we got.
Yeah. Replace Rook Lamont with a luchadora and go from there.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh!
That's a lot of piggies.
Don't kite them out. Don't kite them out. Just spam heal yourself. I was unable to catch you because of my latency.
Oh no.
So I could not get you in my tiny, tiny heal radius.
Yeah, we're still in the phase where fates are a death trap.
Our and I are a little bit underleveled for the zone, so
yeah, I could whip out my Reaper, who's the class I've been leveling after the last 3. But
yep.
I kind of want to save it for Cowboy Land.
Cowboy land, you say?
Yeah, well, you see, you head north
Oh, of
into
course.
Mexico.
We start in Mexico and we go up to the Wild West. I still don't know where the cyberpunk city comes from, but anyway,
Yeah.
we'll get there.
Yeah, Aaronville's from Texas.
No,
But his accent just is weird.
he's from, I don't know, but like you don't really know what his homeland was like. So
Maybe he's from Texas? I don't know.
I don't know. I've never been to Texas. Maybe Texas looks like that.
Mm. Oh, yeah. There. Okay, so that's basically been my week. Yeah, I have been chipping away at Final Fantasy, but not as much as I'd like, or possibly not like, I guess, considering how people are really
About face.
in the story.
About face.
About face. What about face?
Boss with an arrow up.
So yeah, that's basically been my lot for the last couple of weeks. There's been a lot of other personal stuff going on, and life is getting busier. But honestly, I think that's true for basically everyone. I am loving Excavator because I can throw robots everywhere now. It's great.
Yeah. When you're looking at my posts from the farms, you'll notice I get, an okay number of reactables on all of them except for one. And you're like,
Oh,
you may be thinking, well, is that because people disagreed with that? No. It's because literally right after I posted that, an assassination attempt happened.
oh, yeah. That whole business has been interesting.
Oh, it's been a big mask off moment for the people I do not like.
Yeah. Or in some cases, a serious coming to Jesus moments, which has been interesting as well. But
Hard to say,
let's
but there's
let's
certainly
not go
been a
down
lot
that route.
it's basically all anybody's talked about all week.
Basically,
Not
yeah.
that I can blame them because since they couldn't sort of shake the future of the world as it currently exists, but
It's kind of a big deal, yes.
Yeah, and so that's part of what I was leading up to is a bunch of the stuff we would have to talk about has just been covered in the mire of the recent assassination attempt.
Yeah.
So
The other stuff that's really been dominating the news on my feed anyway has been the unfolding circus surrounding Assassin's Creed.
yeah, I enjoyed that. Enjoyed that.
That's been just delicious just to watch that drama unfold.
It's more or less over now, I think, now that the guy's fled.
Well, he's been fled, and apparently he's had his courses and possibly
Oh,
his certification stripped.
His entire career has just been deleted with the stroke of a key now.
Yeah,
Because
the
he
university
was
has just
entirely
said,
a fraud.
nope, we want nothing to do with him.
So I missed this one. You might want to save it for a news segment, or we can go over it
All
now.
right, we can come back to it later.
Okay.
Because yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, and I'll probably have to use the break to quickly organize it.
There's boots. Abadi abadai.
Boots? No, not boots.
Gonna get paralyzed because you gonna get struck by boots.
Yeah. I will say it's nice seeing a lot of the system and back-end changes in this game, but I'm really kind of hoping for those class changes that come in the next expansion.
Yeah, me
Have
and
you
Vol.
seen any commentary on the farms about the class aspect?
Yes, though. Right now they're still stuck on how bad the story was mostly.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
that's what people are actively doing. They're focusing on the story. It's just that
But yes,
we've talked quite extensively on the show last week about the various issues with the class design and the pitfalls of their decision to put it off another expansion. But everybody else is still locked in toxic positivity mode. So
Yeah,
So-
like I understand them putting the class off. It's like all this stuff had needed to happen on the back end first before we can even touch classes. But it's still
well,
disappointing.
no,
I think that's arguable.
yeah.
It is.
It has been mollified somewhat on the farms. They did have a very negative lot to say about it occasionally and would chime in with it. But the mollification came with the latest raid tier release, and that's
Yep.
Been extremely well received.
yeah, people. It's a really good raid tier. Aside from the third boss, I basically have no complaints about it.
I assume it's all Final Fantasy IX related.
No,
Ah. Okay.
no,
No,
whatever.
shame
I saw
not
some
to,
people. I saw some people online saying that Xenos would have loved this if he had lived.
Oh yeah,
Oh no.
This has been his favorite raid tier.
Well then.
But yeah, it's a blast. I'm not going to talk about it yet because these two haven't gone into it. I thoroughly enjoyed every bit that I went through it for the fights mechanically. They'll start off simple. They'll show you, you know, oh, this boss just has a left, right, good night. Oh, this boss has a left, right, good night, and the floor falls apart. Oh, the floor falls apart, and it's going to start throwing people everywhere. And they just keep stacking more and more mechanics with fun arena design. I'm like, yep, okay. And
So your running team was asleep, but the raid team was wide awake.
yeah,
I
and
saw a glimpse of that in Everkeep, but I was so salty about the story at the time that I barely even remember.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then how can I? Okay, so an out of context line typed out by another player in my group when we did the second boss was, "I'm sorry, I simped."
That's always an interesting discussion whenever that one pops up.
So that's all I'm going to say about the new raid tiers so far. Y'all can experience
know
it when you
when
get to it.
I don't know when I'll get around to it. It's just I've been so demotivated on this game as a whole.
Yeah, that story is just. I can understand needing to just put it down for a little bit. If I didn't have time to put the game down for a bit after oh no.
Oh, all the no spots.
No, I want them to cast the no spots. Go back to casting. Casting means they're not chewing on my face.
Oh no, things are dangerous.
Oh, the joys of being 93 in a 94 world.
I'm 92. Grow up.
No. I'm trying. Do you know how long it takes to get that EXP bar to move?
It's not in any particular hurry.
Speaking of, normally I'd be on the grind, you know, doing my roulettes on point, trying to get my classes leveled. It's just a fun grind to do at the time, but yeah, I've just been like,
Yeah.
I still had the same number of max levels last week that I did this week.
Yeah, normally you're like you would be in maximum no life mode at this point.
Yeah, I would be dedicating all my free time to the game, and like I can't. But the raid series did make me feel a bit better, but only a bit better.
That writer is back doing what they're good at.
I'm not even sure it's the same writer because the writing situation for this expansion is so convoluted due to
Yeah.
and it's not just the writer, the localization team as well, both the voice directing side of it and the localizing part of it. It's just Koji Fox ain't doing it anymore because he was working on 16 at the time.
Mhm.
And oh boy, it shows.
All right. So yeah, Vol your week, please.
I spent my time in meetings with the higher ups about key performance indicators and sales projections.
Bored. Yeah,
Now imagine living it.
I know, right? KPIs are one of those things that's like, just why?
I mean,
Yeah.
didn't you work as like a construction general contractor at some point?
I used to work at a building certification firm.
Oh my goodness! So you only had the bureaucracy part, basically.
It was only the bureaucracy. it was also soul crushing.
Anybody
For more
who's
than just bureaucracy, but we're not going to that.
you can probably safely fire every individual who pops up and demands KPIs as from other people as part of their job. Like they
Yeah, we're
just
just
are
gonna
a burden on
suck
humanity.
all the. Yeah, exactly. Suck all the humanity out of it. Treat your staff like robots.
Ugh. At any rate, yeah. So this week kind of sucked. It's not really any getting around that, but
Nah.
it is what it is. I spent most of the scant free time that I had trying to advance the story of Dawntrail, but like I mentioned, I sort of resented it because I kept thinking, well, I could have been playing ZZZ, and that's coming from, you know, a company that's got several projects on the go that all are producing good story content. So why am I going to the company that is consistently proving that they don't bring me good story content anymore for some reason? But yeah, I was deeply frustrated by that. I've made a little bit of progress. Like I said, I've got as far as Everkeep, which is meaningful to people who've gotten as far as Everkeep, I guess. But no further. And I've never felt such a lack of drive to see what happens next.
So
Because it's just, oh my goodness, it's so banal. There's nothing has happened that I could even describe as dramatic. Everything has been like a horrible anticlimax where you find out a villain's motivations. Oh, that was an anticlimax. You find out the mysterious backstory of a character. Oh, that was an anticlimax. Like everything is an anticlimax.
the only good thing about part 2 is you got your boy Otis.
For a tiny sliver of time, the narrowest conceivable sliver of time.
Otis deserves special mention because not only is he a perfect representative for the Paladin class, protecting his charge after death, he goes above and beyond the Call of Duty, trying to protect us, the players, from the drudgery of this MSQ.
Yes, he does. He's finally there's somebody to listen to who isn't named Wick Lamart. Yeah, Otis is great and all. Otis is basically the most FF9 representative of FF9 in the cast.
All right. That's
Is it-
actually a very strange, but also a very useful description.
Yeah, like he's sort of like a slightly less uptight version of Steiner, I guess.
Ah, lovely.
And he is what happens if you get all the Hildebrand ham and a robot.
I mean, Steiner already had plenty of his own ham.
But the
So
thing is that you
essentially-
only get this blissful respite for a tiny piece of time, and then
Then
it's
Wick
back
Lamart
to
comes
Wick
back.
Lamart season, and it's all Wick Lamart from then on.
Remember
Yeah.
how in Cowboy Land there was no Wook Lamont for a little bit?
Yeah, and it was just like adventures with Erinville. It was like being back in Thanalan at the start of the game, where you're just sort of like wandering around between desert towns doing the odd tasks for people and then finding out about some small time criminal conspiracy that you can break up and stuff like that. Like it was like old school MMO, and you get to do that
Let's go and
sort of like it's basically the buddy cop movie with Erinville for like a brief period of time, and then Wook Lamont comes back.
Yeah, you get like a 2/3 of his own respite, and then back on the Wook Lamont train. Literally back on the Wook Lamont train.
There is a literal train with Wick Lamart on it.
Back on the Wook Lamont, not Thelos.
Bottom of the hill.
Not Telos.
Yeah.
So not Telos. You could be forgiven for thinking it was the Telos, but it's not. You could be forgiven for thinking it was the trolley, but it's not.
No, he explicitly goes out of his way to tell you he doesn't care about trolleys this time.
No, that's not what they say. They say, well, trolleys are cool and all, but...
No, we're not doing this again.
Oh no, they are doing this again. That's the problem.
Exactly this again. That's the issue. This is the issue with this expansion, is that the only the only compelling scenes that they're capable of doing are not compelling because they already did them in a different expansion.
And they're lesser versions of those that they did in a different expansion as well.
Yeah, it's like do that again, but worse.
Did you like all the races coming together that you met over the course of Shadowbringers to build the giant Telos and go punch the mountain and then go run up and punch the fat man? Yeah,
Imagine a totally anticlimactic version of same.
yeah. We heard you like that and said it was the best moment in Shadowbringers, so here's a worse version of it. We even brought the trolley man back. Oh, smell of death. Where is she? There she is.
It's great. I do not want to fight a surprisingly sexy fat man at the top of a mountain again.
Oh no, you fight a not sexy at all Snake Man at the end of that one.
I'm not sure if that's an improvement.
I was
Mind
also
you-
bothered. Like, there was a
Yeah.
it was a mistake that there's no way Koji Fox would have made. That is to say, Mamulja using the expression "the sweat of my brow." They're
They
lizards.
don't sweat.
Koji never would have made a silly mistake like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only do lizards not sweat, they don't have brows either because their eyes are on the sides of their head.
Yeah, true. I don't think of it. Our characters probably don't sweat either. Sweat of my feet. There you go.
Do
Ours-
cats not have any kind of sweat.
Only from their paw pads, yes.
Our cats are human enough that they probably
Well,
sweat.
Makoto are basically all paw pad. So,
Yeah.
but
So there you go. That's canon now. Hrothgar have terrible foot odor. Because they're sweaty ass feet. Enjoy.
Hrothgar wears shoes. I've
Well,
never looked at their feet before.
I'm currently not. I'm wearing sandals, but yeah.
Yeah, well, your Hrothgar wears tents as well, so I don't know if that means.
Also, yes. I really don't know who that purple dress armor was for on an aiming set, but anyway.
Don't worry, the machinists get the best class armor this expansion.
Oh, nice.
It is one
The
that
last couple of expansions, it's been okay, but kind of eh.
I will be incorporating it into a glam as soon as if I ever get my Final Fantasy mojo back going again.
Yeah. Also, don't think we haven't noticed that Koan is walking around wearing last expansion's machinist set. Which actually looks really, really strange on my character, but anyway.
It just bugs me whenever I see Koana and he just has my character's eyes now.
Yes.
The same Suncat eyes of the same color and the same iris size. I'm like,
I just keep wondering. Well, maybe he's related, but I just keep wondering why eggshell blue. It's just he clashes with everything in every scene.
He does, doesn't he? It's probably because he wants to go for the whole Charlian vibe.
he was just so into Charlie, he had to dye his hair and tail.
He is a Charlian weeaboo at best.
He's a Charlie-aboo.
He is a Charliaboo. Because every time he talks, he's talking about how better everything is in Charlian.
Well, no, every time he talks now, he's talking about how much he loves his adopted sister.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he just basically becomes like Wiglamart hype man eventually.
No. Go back to being a Charliaboo, please.
Yeah, as soon as his character arc is over, he's just a simp for his sister.
No. Please do not say he becomes a Siscon.
He doesn't become a Siscon that I've seen.
You
No.
don't sound so sure about that.
Well, the writing has been so bizarrely erratic that I don't have any trust in it.
It's not to say they have. What's a good way to put this? They haven't closed that door yet.
Oh no! Please close that door. Close it.
Remember, everybody is adopted.
I know, but even so, it's like, dude, no.
Your Chimkin got got withdrawn from the battlefield. Paul.
I associate that word entirely with Kiara.
I mean,
I
yes.
associate it with the random Lalafell I found in the gold saucer while I was grinding MGP before the expansion launch. Name was Chimkin Nuggets.
Best name for a potato.
The fates appear to have descaled a little bit with people getting out of the zone.
Yeah. No, don't mount that chicken. Mount that chicken. There we go.
Oh my.
What
was I doing?
Follow
Oh,
up, follow up, follow
um,
up, follow up, follow up.
There's a lot of follow-ups in this zone. Oh yeah, this guy again.
What was I doing for my week?
What were you doing?
I'm trying to remember.
You done any more ZZZ?
No. When would I have
Damn.
at the time? I had corpo meetings to attend.
So when you say
But,
you got to Everkeep, did you get to Everkeep the dungeon? Because there's a trial around there.
No. I did the dungeon that's immediately before Everkeep. Origenics.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay. Got it. I forgot what stuff is called.
Origenics was... Well, I got teabagged multiple times by the bosses in the dungeon before that. The Origenics one was kind of a walkover, except for the one boss that insta-gibbed me because I was standing in the wrong place, and apparently you just die. Or at least I haven't upgraded any of my gear since in Walker. So, so I was kind of squishy as a tank.
Did
And tended to just die. I wasn't like you. I didn't spend a bunch of poetics on having good gear to go into the expansion with. I was just using whatever I was wearing.
Yeah. I knew
So
I'd be
I
doing
got
these dungeons
kinda
with a
squished.
trust. So I was I didn't trust the trust. So I went and spent a bunch of money, a bunch of poetics on getting my tank gear up.
Yeah, like there were several occasions where, well, there was, I remember very clearly at least one occasion where, as my body was collapsing to the floor, multiple green arrows suddenly sprouted and pointed at me. It's like, yeah, helpful.
Bit late,
Thanks,
guys.
guys. What were you
Yeah.
doing? What were you doing for the last 30 seconds
Was Ali say
when
your
all my
healer?
cooldowns were gone?
I'll say healing just feels
No.
wrong.
It was Graha.
Oh,
Ah. Incidentally, yeah, did the Valgamunda fight with the Trust, and first time I'm in a Trust again with Urianger, and it immediately got me killed.
he's good at that.
He's very
that is
good at
how the Urianger do. Okay, the other thing I noticed was that basically Wiglamat is immortal in Trials.
Yes.
I saw her get absolutely smashed, and I got 100 to 0'd, and she didn't take visible damage.
Yeah.
And we were
I
standing
think
literally on the same spot.
that
Talking
I
about
think
the
is
ripest furry OC.
oh, there's a landmark down there on that rock.
Hang on, we got to get to the arrow up.
Arrow
fate.
up. Way
Okay.
more important. It
All right.
disappears.
Yeah, I think part of that's just how Trust characters are done in dungeons. Like tanks are supposed to be immortal, and they just kind of cheat sometimes. I've seen it happen to Thancred before too.
Oh, they can die.
Wiglamat's dialogue is also incredibly annoying because, like, they have dialogue, and if it's, say, if you've got Ishtola
Mhm.
will discuss the mechanics and how best to deal with them. So, you know, if you've got no guidance because you're in a trust, there's at least someone in the group who's capable of figuring out mechanics, even if you can't work out what's going wrong because you've got the camera pointed in the wrong direction or whatever.
Yep.
Wiglamat just says, "Oh no, what do? I don't understand," and just fills the chat box with garbage like that. It's really annoying. It's like, listen, there are more intelligent people and I need to hear them speak. Please shut up.
I've heard that the reward for maxing out the trusts again and getting them to level 100 gets them swimsuits.
Yes, it
Yeah, I've
does.
seen people posting pictures of that.
I've seen horrified reactions to Yashtola's swimsuit. Okay, where's this thing you're looking for, Fern?
It was. See if we can find it again. It was off the edge of that cliff there.
Is there something particularly offensive about Shola in a swim
There it is.
swimsuit?
That log on the ground.
Is
Log?
it not? It's just not slutty enough for people's tastes.
No, it's the summer sunset
Come
swimsuit.
back. That log.
Must have already got
Yeah.
this one.
Well, go back where Vol is.
Where Vol is.
There
Yeah,
Vol is.
okay, yeah, I've already got this one.
Okay. Oops. Get the right spot. There we go. Just me of these vistas being a little bit picky this expansion.
I mean, they're sightseeing log vistas. What you expect?
Yeah.
What you makey?
Makey. The
I have
puns at least
spent
do
no time.
continue.
I have spent no time in watching Makey.
I've done 2 of the what you makeys, the gathering ones.
For me, participating in crafting and gathering is sort of an overflow of enthusiasm for the game in general. And I can't do them unless I'm just really hype about the game in general. Like, independently, I just don't care about them because the output is only meaningful if you really care about the rest of the game. So, because I don't care about Guild at all. Which is why I just dumped 10 million in the Guild bank that time, because I just don't care about it. It's like, I don't have a use for it because I'm not actively engaged in the Eorzea fashion show. But so I haven't participated in any aspect of crafting or gathering so far this expansion because my enthusiasm for FF is at an all-time low. Like, people were like, "Oh man, I'm so sick of the Endwalker post game. It's really dull. Everything about it sucks." It's like, yeah, but they found a way to excavate a lower basement to my enthusiasm by having an offensively bad main plot that just dispels all of my hopes for the game going forward. So, yeah, I haven't done any of that.
Yeah, it's bad.
But so I don't think there's really anything I can talk about because of, generally speaking, I think that most of my commentary would probably focus on the plot, but as far as the progress of my characters are concerned, I have to say that it doesn't seem to matter how long I've got them or how much I use them. The whole follow a cooldown with an active ability thing, it feels so weird to me, so jank. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sort of intuitive sense that your cooldown button turns into an active combat ability. But it's like in every class thing now, so I guess I've just got to get used to it. It
Yeah.
just feels very bizarre to me.
They're just falling back on this because they want to put something on the box. It says every class gets something new when they level up, and they didn't know how to do it effectively, so they just gave everybody a big kaboom on their.
Like, being able to enlarge my axe to comic proportions and then hit the enemy with it is awesome. Like, I like that. It's silly, but it's kind of cool because my headcanon for the warrior is that warriors are a class that don't fight primarily using ether, but actually fight using dynamis. So they're able to break the rules in different ways compared to other classes, and just making their axe bigger is one of those in my headcanon.
That's actually a very cool headcanon too. I like that.
Well, I mean, the thing is that the backstory for warriors is that all of their power comes from emotion. It doesn't come from drawing on ether or channeling or anything like that. It is just like they envision the rage in themselves as a separate entity, and then they give it control.
Yep. So it's not a huge leap.
But yeah, at any rate, yeah. So the visuals can be nice, and they can be funny, they can be silly, but yeah, I'm not too fussed on the visual for the scholar super nuke ability. I feel like it's way too understated. Like, their regular AoE has a much larger and brighter graphic. Their regular dot has a much larger and brighter graphic. Their mega dot has basically an invisible graphic. It's too small to notice under most conditions. And it's supposed to be an AoE, and you get no sense for how big the AoE is from the graphic because it's so small. But
there we go.
Yeah, it's incredibly devastating to use on a group. Like, you can wipe out an entire wave of like fate enemies if you can group them up and then drop that on them. It will just basically erase that wave in a few seconds. But the actual feel of using it is just really underwhelming, and then you've got to wait 2 minutes for a chance to do it again. So it's functionally just sort of a gimmick and nothing more.
Bleh.
But yeah, it is what it is. They
is.
clearly given very little thought to classes in this expansion. It's just not a
We-
concern of theirs.
On top of that, we've already previously established that Square Enix hates Scholar. Oh,
Yeah,
why?
it does feel that way a lot of the time. I don't know whether they've got a plan in mind for going forward. It seems like for a lot of classes they're a little bit lost and don't really know how they want to handle them. But yeah, I haven't seen anybody say that. Oh well, they are definitively pleased with what has been done with their class and the direction that it's gone in Endwalker. That just doesn't seem to be the case for anybody.
A lot of it just
I
feels like a holding pattern, honestly.
I spent 5 minutes dabbling with Monk, and
Oh yeah.
They have Skittles now.
incredibly simplified. Like
Oh,
it
good.
basically gives you instructions on the screen for viable things to press that won't screw everything up. So even I can play it now.
Okay. Do you think they've gone too far the other way now?
It's definitely going to really, really piss off the Monk players because everything is like super simple now. You can see at a glance what you should be doing. But the reality is that a lot of the difficulty of Monk came from the obtuse way that it expressed your current state of combat.
Yeah, it did.
So now now they've arranged it in such a way that particular moves buff other particular moves and make them strongly favored to go next because of that. And the Skittles that you get on the new UI element basically will tell you, oh, you've got a buff pending on this particular stance, so you should use the ability in that stance that takes advantage of the buff rather than the one that generates it.
Hmm.
So it is
Is
very, very
cheese,
simplified, but it
is
still
cheese still a thing?
flows. Pardon?
Is cheese still a thing?
Cheese. Which cheese?
Chi. Chi.
Chi. Oh,
Monk's resource.
yeah, I know. Your audio's just been a bit distorted this show from my end. I don't know why.
That's because Discord is still trying to help, I think.
Okay, because your treble has that weird sort of liquid edge that you get when something is a bit distorted.
All right. But monks now forever shall run on cheese.
They replaced you know how you can spam that button which generates yellow balls?
The button they gave monks instead of giving them a ranged ability, yes.
Yeah, they took that away and then they put one in its place that does the same thing and has the same graphic except in a blue tone, and I'm really confused. Like, I did not know Monk very well, so maybe there's a really important key difference that I just don't remember, since I leveled Monk entirely through freaking main scenario roulette.
Oh,
But
dear.
so I don't know what most of the latter mechanics even do. But yeah, it seems like they've made some adjustments and they've given you the ability to like you can turn on the ability to overcap your charges of chakras opened or whatever.
Yep.
So that you can not lose so many from capping out or something, I guess. I'm really unsure as to a lot of the implications because I'm absolutely not a Monk player. Monk is a closed book to me.
Very special kind of tism you need to get into Monk.
I try it.
I mean, but
later.
it has been simplified to the point where I can use it and not feel totally confused. I still feel like there is a weird degree of separation between the mechanics. Like the regular flow of combat combos doesn't mesh together with the, you know how you've got to generate 3 different ones and then like 3 same ones and then you've opened the solar and the lunar and then you use a special ability. You know that thing?
Yeah.
That thing, yes.
Yeah, that still feels to me like a separate and adjunct combat mechanic that doesn't actually interact in any way with the primary mechanic, except by using them as charges. Like you still have to go in, press this button to trigger. You are in this mode now of generating these things, and then you do generate them, and then you have to press that button again. Okay, we're generating these things, and then you've got to press it again, and then we're generating the things, and now we use the capstone ability. Like I still feel that flows very strangely. It doesn't feel like one cohesive unit to me because you've got this whole turn the generating mode on thing in order to actually enter into that style of thing. Like if you don't go out of your way to repeatedly press that cooldown, you end up playing a 1-2-3 class.
Yep.
But that means that the entirety of the rest of the class's mechanics end up being triggered as a direct result of pressing a cooldown. So you've got like a cooldown that walls off half the class, and it feels very bizarre way to structure a class to me. But I don't know. I would feel bad for monk players advocating that the class get another overhaul.
Yeah. I guess we'll just have to wait to see what the 0.8 patch does, because
I'm pretty sure they are the most overhauled class in the game, bar none.
Yeah, at this point, I'd say yes. Astro would
But
be
I
getting
don't-
close.
I don't know that anybody is happy with the way it is now. I can't get a handle on Astro. I've got so many different buffs now that I can't keep track of them all.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
got 2 cards that are defensive cards and 1 card that's an offensive card,
Like-
and you get your Lord or Lady, and you rotate between 2 different decks that you
Like
pull out.
the red one is for melee, and the icy one. So balance is for melee. The frost one is for ranged magic. No, red one is for physical. Frost one is for magic. Green one reduces damage taken. Ewer is a hot. The yellow one is a shield, and the other one is increases healing received. I think. Does that sound right?
Hang on,
I can't remember.
I'll pull them out. Hang on. Okay, so I think the balance is tanks and melee.
So balance is physical damage functionally. Is it?
Melee DPS
Or
or
is
tank.
Is it melee or okay? So it's melee versus range, not physical versus magic. Okay. So that
Arrow
means that-
is HP recovered by healing actions. Spire is barrier.
The thing is that I wanted it to make more sense. I wanted like the green one to be a heal, for instance, but the green one is not a heal. The green one is reduced damage taken, I think.
Yeah.
And the Ewer is a heal, but the Ewer is almost exactly the same color as something else.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah, and the yellow one is a shield. I remember the yellow one is the shield because shields are yellow on the party frame.
And then we hang on. I have to wait a minute between draws. Okay.
Because when you suddenly get when your class suddenly just gets given 6 buffs in place of your original system, it's like, I need a mnemonic now to remember what they all do.
So
Yeah.
the way I have it set up, square button is the damage buff button, and the other 2 buttons are give it to the tank in between trash pulls. Because it doesn't really matter that, one of them's a hot, one of them's a shield, and one of them's reduces damage taken, one's healing received. They're gonna do this exact same function for the level I play at. Which is, when we get to the trash pack, I'll target the person that needs the buff, and they get the damage buff, and I'll target the tank, and I'll give them both of the cards as they're running to start the next trash pack.
I try and use them in a way that will be useful, but I don't know. It feels like a very clumsy solution, to be totally blunt.
Yeah. It has taken the randomness factor entirely out of the class, which they already did in Endwalker. Kind of.
I thought, in Walker wasn't Lord and Lady still random?
Yeah. And that was a...
Now, somehow now Lord and Lady is totally predictable and it's still always the wrong one.
Yeah, you never had the one you want, or you forget you had Lord and forget to play it. Yeah, it happens all the time.
Okay, I'm just looking at what Monk's done with meditation. Regular meditation is gone, but inspirited meditation and enlightened meditation are still there, and they don't do anything different from their base version, at least according to the tooltip.
You see, this is why I was confused.
Yeah,
Oh man, that's a lot of Skittles.
there's a lot of Skittles. So Beast Chakra. Now we have that. I think I need to sit down and do some reading on this before I figure out what on earth I'm supposed to be doing.
You know,
It's actually got to the point where, other than the Solar Lunanati thing, you can more or less figure out Monk just by pushing buttons.
Hang on a minute. Field meditation and forbidden meditation are two more abilities that also do the same thing.
Maybe their abilities are actually buried in traits.
They must be. Hang on, let me see. Traits. Deep meditation. No, that's just gets you crits. Crits open chakras. That's guaranteed crits open chakras. Guarantees a chakra open under meditative brotherhood, so that's just to get more chakras. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on here. So, okay, they've simplified some things, but there seems to be something that's just utterly pointless here now.
we have found
I
a
have-
friend.
Oh, have we?
Oh, they flew away.
Oh. Okay. I will put my gun back on because also my monk gear is really just non-existent. All right. We were doing your week, Vol, but was there anything else?
My monk has no pants, I guess.
Your monk has no pants.
My monk gear has no pants because it's wearing like a random menagerie of gear that just happens to be appropriate to level 90. And one of those happens to be the type of pants that aren't pants. You know, the ones that are normally paired with either a chest that is really long or boots that are really long.
Yep.
Yeah, so pantsless. Pantsless is the way to go, apparently. Anyway,
Pantsless is justice.
So in the wake of my ever growing despair at Final Fantasy, I have continued to focus mainly on Ho-Yo games. Now there's a new chapter available for Genshin, and I haven't touched it yet. In fact, I'm like horribly backlogged on Genshin content at this point. I don't know when I'm going to be able to catch up, but yeah. So I haven't done the Imaginarium Theatre. I haven't done the follow up event for that. I haven't done the new chapter. There's a whole bunch of pending stuff to get out of the way as we draw to the end of the Fontaine arc. But yeah. So that is all stuff that's happening in the background. The Nailu Navia banner is up. I'm sort of a bit bewildered that they gave Navia another banner already. It can't have been that long ago that Navia was released, right? Or is my sense of time completely distorted?
She was the character on banner when we first came back. As I pulled for her, remember?
So it wasn't all that long ago.
Especially considering how long it's been since some other characters have had a go.
So that would have been, I think, December, November is when that was. And we're in July of the next year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeesh. But still, 6 months is pretty short for a 5-star, given the number of 5-stars they've got at the stage of the life cycle. But yeah, anyway,
his best macaron factory.
Yeah, she's okay. I haven't done her character story yet, so I'm not really that attached to her. She just seems a little bit So far she's like, well, her story, as far as I am aware of it, is more or less done. Like, she's had her plot arc as part of the main story for Fontaine. So yeah, I'll have to delve into her character story. But I don't have time for that because crappy Dawntrail story is eating up all my free time. But
Ray, go talk to Uklamat and then talk to 3 people.
I miss when we were just going back to the Waking Sands. But
now you got to click on the same spot on the ground 3 times.
But yeah, so we're currently in the wind down from the last Star Rail patch and the wind up to the next patch. So there's not a lot going on in Star Rail at the moment. I'm currently just sort of like fleshing out traces and teams and relics and that. It's a double drop relics 3 times a day event at the moment, which is really good for gearing up your characters if you need to just get a lot of rolls on relics quickly. I haven't gotten many good parts, however, there are a few that could be potentially useful in future that I've managed to get, because I've been trying to polish a set of gear for my follow-up attackers. So that's in my case Himiko, Herta, and Dr. Ratio, so that I can start to build out a team that can be used for Memory of Chaos and Pure Fiction when follow-up attack is favoured. So
Yep.
yeah, working on that at the moment.
The AHA team.
The AHA team. Yeah, actually, because Jade is the banner character, the new banner character at the moment, it's been
It's
like
current. Down. Down. Alright,
get it?
you do that. I'm going to go over here.
because Jade is an IPC character, and all the IPC characters are follow-up themed. So you're gonna die, Aristeel. You're gonna die. But yeah, all the IPC characters are follow-up themed. They all the mechanics are based on follow-up. So the usual way that this plays out is that whatever is the new character's mechanic will tend to be the one that is favored for at least one of the game modes. And at this point, the favored Divergent Universe weekly, because like there's the free mode for Divergent Universe, and then there's the one where they set you a particular set of equations to work through for that week. And this week's one is just like pure AHA. Everything is AHA. You've got to focus on AHA blessings, AHA equations. Everything is just like this is the AHA week. So
Oh,
yeah,
dear.
I had to sort of cludge together an AHA team for Divergent Universe, and it was a bit jank. We got there in the end, but it was a bit jank. But it did mean that I had an opportunity to see how Herta can perform when she's being used. So yeah, it was reasonably good. So I'll probably try and put together a team that will work in that capacity to some extent, so that I can actually do those weeks instead of having to try and do them with no bonuses whatsoever, which is always a nightmare. So yeah, the sort of the preview show, the preview stream for the next patch was this week past. So I watched that, and they introduced a couple of the new characters. So the first one is Yunli, who's the counter attacker, and she is also for a particular audience. In this case, she is for the same audience Clara was for, feet people.
Oh, dear. Feet people.
Yeah, so like Clara, she goes barefoot for no real reason everywhere.
Considering Clara walks around a place where, scrap metal is all over the place, she'd put some freaking shoes on.
Everywhere that is not scrap metal is snow.
Yes.
You should probably learn to wear shoes.
Maybe she just really doesn't like wet socks.
Maybe, but
Yunli
her daddy
also
Mecca
goes
would
barefoot.
put it. Yes.
Yunli also goes barefoot, and her occupation is swordsmaster / blacksmith.
Also, not a wise choice.
Yeah.
Maybe she's one of those heathens that likes hot feet.
I don't think there's anybody who likes hot feet.
Nobody likes hot feet.
But yeah, so yeah, she's definitely going to scale well if the meta in the future for like enemy design tends to favor enemies that get heaps and heaps of extra turns.
Somebody pick me off the ground.
Groan. No, not while I'm in combat. I can't. Ugh.
Ah!
Why
Oh
would you
no,
do
run
this?
away!
Why
Fine.
is your first move to try and get yourself killed?
My first move was, shiny thing on the ground. But they took offense to that.
You make bad decisions. But yeah, so Yunli's a physical destruction and favors counterattack, which gets stronger the more moves enemies get. So lots of enemies that have like moves that move up their next move and that sort of thing. She'll scale very well with those, since most of her damage seems to come from counterattacks, much like Clara. Clara is also physical distraction. I wonder if there's a theme going on here.
Maybe.
Feet people.
Beat
Anyway,
people.
so yeah, the next one is Fire Nihility, and basically he's like a really souped up version of Gwen Ifen. So yeah, like I was looking at his abilities, because I run a Nihility team with Acheron, and he synergizes really strongly with Acheron, but I can't really justify pulling for him because he's basically got the same kit as Gwen Ifen except better, and so it's sort of, I'm gilding the lily a bit really to pull for him. Like there's not. He would definitely be good. He'd definitely be powerful. But then I'm just building yet another Nihility character for an Acheron team, and I don't have the huge amount of Stellar Jade necessary to just pull on every character that expresses any amount of interest in mechanically. Like it's dude, it's not a waifu. So
I'm about to say he's got a penis.
He loses all of the points there. Yeah, so those are the ones that they previewed directly. We know some of the others that are going to come out. Moza is a 4-star lightning hunt, I believe. I think that sounds right. And he's sort of like an assassin type dude, intelligence specialist type dude from one of the other Shansho ships. And the other one is the general from one of the other Shansho ships. I can't remember exactly what her name is offhand. And then there's Lingsha, who is another Abundance Fire character, which is odd because they just released a 4-star Abundance Fire character in Penacony. But whatever. Nobody knows anything about her mechanics as far as I'm aware. I don't think they've even been leaked yet. So yeah. The next chapter of the story is a Trailblaze continuance for the Shansho Lofu, and it's going to be focused on the event, the sword dance event, which is basically the Combat Olympics for the Shansho. And so a whole bunch of people from the various Shansho ships have all gathered on the Lofu, which is acting as host, to do this Swordsmaster competition. And
Tournament arc.
there's also sort of like a the subplot is basically there's a lot of debate amongst the higher ups of the Shansho that the general of the Luofu didn't handle the events that took place during the Shansho chapter in the way that he should have according to the rules. So they're sort of like doing an internal affairs investigation into him as well. But yeah, and this chapter will be where March basically gets caught up in the fervor and the hype for the event and decides that she's going to become.
Let's not lie.
Well, I mean, it seems entirely possible. It is a Swordsmaster tournament, and she's getting all hyped to participate. So she basically, well, the story doesn't make sense unless you've played the Trailblaze Continuance, which is about restoring the shopping district on the Shansho, because there's this absolute dweeb of a IPC guy called Scott. His name is just Scott.
He's just Scott.
It's just Scott. He basically makes a big dick of himself during that Trailblaze Continuance, and basically he's back for revenge type of thing, and March gets caught up in challenging him because he thinks that his new IPC robot is better than Swordsmasters, and March wants to prove him wrong. And so, not that she's got any skin in the game or anything, she just decides that that's what she wants to do. Because, well, I mean, he's kind of a dick. I can sort of sympathize.
He is kind of a dick, I guess, and she is kind of the impulsive type.
Yeah. Well, I mean, impulsiveness is traditionally tempered by memories of bad experience, right? And what does she have?
No memories.
Yeah. So it figures she's going to be impulsive.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she tries to go on like a 2-week crash course in becoming a swordsmaster in time for this challenge.
Oh dear. That cannot
So
possibly end well.
so basically she manages to corral Yanqing and Yunli into being her masters to train her into being a swordsmaster in time for this challenge. So that's her little sub story in this. They're also doing a bunch of. I'm very keen for the story, but the story is going to be told across 2 patches. It looks like, which is very long for a Trailblaze continuance, but that's the way they've decided to do it this time. And there's a bunch of they announced a bunch of events as well. Since they have done Pokemon already, it appears that the next time they are doing Pokemon Snap.
Okay.
So, one of the events appears to be about you get put on a track, like on Pokemon Snap, and you
Mhm.
basically will be taken around various environments in the Lofu, and you've got to snap pictures of trash cans doing interesting things.
Of course, it's trash cans.
Yes, it's trash cans. What else would it be?
Racier
I
and
don't know,
raccoon
but
again.
yes, if there's something very interesting going on that you should be photographing, if it's still taking the photo, it will be of the trash cans.
That is how it be. The another event they talked about is one where you can designate a character to become a magician whose special powers are to summon trash cans to fight for you.
But why though?
I'm not really sure because it's not out yet, so I don't know the story or the justification, but it appears to be sort of like basically carrying on from the incredibly bizarre fever dream you have about trash cans on Penacony.
Oh dear. I think
Okay.
it's time that somebody got that little trash bandit some help.
You know, if Kafka raised you, is she responsible for your trash can obsession?
Probably.
Well, Kafka doesn't have one. It's not really her speed. But
She instilled the trash can obsession in you because it was fate.
or possibly because it was funny.
Well, with her, it could go either way.
But yeah, so yeah, there's going to be a bunch of elaborate trash-centric events in the next patch.
Sounds incredibly silly and actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's entirely in character. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, this is what Dawntrail is competing against: trash, except entertaining. But
Literal
yeah,
trash.
but yeah, this is sort of like the nub of the problem, right? Like, there's going to be, you know, a bunch of story and ZZZ, and there's stuff I'm really excited for coming out for Honkai Star Rail, which I'm really engaged with, and there's a bunch of content for me to do that I know that I have enjoyed in the past in Genshin that's backlogged that I need to catch up on, and then there's Dawntrail.
And also
And
Elden Ring. I know
well, I
Ari's
don't.
finished it, but I haven't even touched the
I'm
expansion yet.
I'm not committed to it. I'm not committed to it. It's not like I haven't toyed with the idea of going back to it, but it's not high on my priority list. The issue for me is that Dawntrail has an overly loud sort of presence in my mind due to my previous investment in it.
Yep.
But when I'm actually playing it, I'm often not having fun. There are times that I'm having fun because some of the bosses are fun in some of the dungeons and that. But
Yeah.
I just feel very oppressed by the fact that the story I feel like is insulting my intelligence a lot of the time. But
It's just
yeah,
not great.
yeah. I mean, you haven't really seen it in perspective, and nor have I to some extent because I haven't gotten all the way to the end. But it doesn't feel like there's a lot more to the story that I haven't yet seen. I mean, there's some, but it doesn't feel like it's going to really change tone or tenor in between now and when I get to the end.
Mhm.
But
I promise it's not that deep. It's just bad.
yeah, I just it's hard to be in any way excited for it. Like when I'm playing the main story, I'm not thinking about the main story. I'm thinking about, yeah, I kind of want to see what the raids are like this expansion because people seem to be interested in those, and yeah, I'm not really that fussed about anything else.
I'm wondering what they do with their relic weapons.
It's like yeah, I'm interested in that. I want to see what they do there. They've opened up the available space quite broadly, thematically speaking. There's a lot that they could choose to do. Lots and lots of space in there. But yeah, I'm interested in basically everything but the main story. The main story is a damp squib. It's just
Yeah.
completely dragged down by the writer's furry OC.
Well, hopefully, once her story is over, they put her in a box and she can just stay in the throne room for a while.
I don't think that they will. I think that we are likely to be stuck with her for this whole expansion. But I think that it is. We discussed this at quite length in last show, but it seemed to me, and Ari seemed to agree, that this is exactly what Yoshi P was actually referring to when he went way out of character in his producer's letter and said that he wasn't sure if anyone would like the story they've written this time and they might have to change direction for 8.0.
Mm.
Like, that was a really conspicuous comment that he made, and he doesn't normally say things like that. Like, he hasn't said that in other live letters for other expansions, but he did this time, which makes me think he knew that it had become a total shit show in his absence, but that it was way too late production schedule wise to solve the problem this time round, and that they're basically committed to it because of that.
Yeah, it's
We got furry waifu.
I can guarantee we are stuck with her for 7.1, 7.2, probably 7.3. If they do remove her from 7.4 and 7.5, it's going to be a last minute panic. This is not working at all kind of adjustment. Speaking of Trash
I think
Panda,
we might not see that. They may try instead to rewrite her at the last minute.
yeah,
Actually, put
That's
some
the
wrinkles
other
in that
option
brain.
that's available. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what they'll do, but I think that as of 8.0, we will probably see a lot less of her.
yeah,
Like, she will
Yeah.
probably still continue to make cameo appearances to keep people happy, but I think that they are likely to choose a very, very different direction. Because it seems like it should be like based on that character poll, the unofficial character poll, that looked like it was predominantly taken from the Japanese side.
yeah, it was.
Mhm.
It was Japanese only unofficial character poll.
Yeah, which means that there's blowback over there as well. If
Yeah.
the headliner character does not even figure in the listings. And it seemed to me that she was really not the type of character that would appeal to the Japanese audience, because the Japanese audience is, it's not correct to say they're more mature, but I think that they would have they would have made the Naruto association relatively quickly and seen it as exclusively a bad thing. Like, I don't think they find that type of thing endearing from a main character in a framework like this.
Largely because it's just been done so much.
Well, because it's so blatant that she's gonna be Hokage of the South American villages. Believe it.
Like, oh, you're already
I hate
pushing
that.
uphill. You're already pushing uphill because in this expansion there is no cultural access for the Japanese audience whatsoever. This is completely. They are going to view it with suspicion initially as an appeal to the Western world and not to the East, because in all throughout all of the other expansions, you can see elements here and there of, oh no, this part here is characteristically a Japanese theme or a Japanese conceit or a Japanese cultural identity or a Japanese this, that, or the other. This one is entirely bereft of it because they are they have shackled themselves explicitly to aiming at a particular real world culture, which I think is very unwise. They could get away with it in Endwalker because it was sort of only a bit contribution for
Hmm.
Razat. It was like, well, this isn't the fact that they have this culture is not the focus of the story.
Yeah,
But
I think it was stronger in Stormblood, but
well, no, but the thing is that Stormblood was appealing specifically to a particular culture for a lot of it, right? And
yeah,
it was the target audience's culture. But what I'm
yeah, you
saying is
spend a
that
bulk of time in China.
in well, I wouldn't say that it's China since they've got samurai,
I know, right? It's a kind of a hodgepodge.
but well, also all of the architecture is Japanese. In fact, there's no Chinese architecture there.
Yeah.
But I would say, in fact, there is no influences from China there whatsoever. But they because they're appealing specifically to the home culture, they can do it, and there will be no blowback. And virtually everybody that was playing FF at that time was a weeb, also, so no blowback there either. They're basically that one's a gimme. But the in the case of the Endwalker, when they use we'll use sort of like a fusion Indian, Arabic, Persian type of theming here for Razatan, they could get away with that because it was just sort of like a location fundamentally.
And it was also only
It
one
was not.
zone.
Yeah, it was one zone, some recurring characters, and it was a location. And it was also a location that you sort of bounced around repeatedly, and you were given a lot of sort of relief in the sort of like Russia-Rome fusion that was Garlemald as
Mhm.
a sort of a thematic, as a sort of like a thematic digression of sorts. Um, in the case of Dawntrail, everything is alien. It's like you never get a break from the foreignness of everything, and everything is foreign in roughly the same sort of way.
After this
Right
next
up
fight, we
until you
should definitely go to a break, by the way.
right up until you get to sort of like the more off kilter zones later in the story. Everything is, and those are also alien, but they don't refer to a culture. But what that basically means is all of the culture overhead that you've got is this sort of like appeal to South America, and you have put 150% of the story's focus on one character who explicitly represents just that and forces herself to the forefront of every scene. So it's going to present itself to the audience of Japan as a sort of an oppressive cultural incursion at a time where the gaming populace in Japan is hypersensitized to gaming cultural incursion thanks to Ubisoft.
Mm.
So basically, the whole prospect is as doomed as it could possibly be, and I don't think that they're going to be able to avoid realizing this. There's been a lot of chatter historically about the Squeenix are going to ignore the Western player base in order to favor the Japanese player base, but I think that what they are likely to see is the reverse said by the Japanese side this time around. It's like, all of this sort of like girl boss bullcrap. This is all distinctly Western political crap and Western culture forcing itself into the game and forcing us to play in accordance with these cultural mores that are totally alien to us, type of thing. Like there's going to be there's always, if there's one thing that gamers are really good at, it's overreacting to everything. So you're going to see a magnification of all of the things people don't like in the process of trying to express their dislike for the way this story was structured. So I don't think that the indicators are good that Yoshi P won't be able to avoid the negative feedback this time.
Yeah,
There are a lot of things in the past that he's been really good at putting his head in the sand in, but I think it's going to be fairly universal. And the people who really favour Lamart that I've seen online and that tend to be from that quarter in the player base that the Japanese people in the community seem to have absolute contempt for.
The people that have special Twitter accounts.
Yeah, with lots of flags and pronouns and
Yeah. Anywho, this is probably a good spot for a break.
It is.
Yeah, I need the bathroom badly.
Yep. I was about to wet my pants. All right. Break screen.
Charming.
We will be back in just a bit, folks. And we're back.
Yes, we're back.
Vol's
Well, two of
not.
us are anyway.
Yeah, Vol's not feeling good, so he's going to take an extra minute.
Yep, he'll be back in a bit.
Yeah. So yeah,
All right.
I
We have been banging the Final Fantasy drum a bit hard, so
yeah, I
what's
would
your...
love to pivot from it, but I just really this game's badness in this MSQ has really just been a something I can't get away from, something I can't quite process. Hence the giant walls of text I posted on the forums.
Mm-hmm.
And to find the type of commentary that's sane in the West, unfortunately, you really are relegated to these hives of internet scum and villainy. You're not going to be able to go on polite internet and find people that are willing to even entertain the idea that Dawntrail is bad.
That somebody might actually have a different opinion.
No, it's just that the Final Fantasy community has a toxic positivity problem to a degree I've never seen another MMO have.
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, Wuklamot is voiced by I gotta be careful on this platform, by somebody that is not of natural male birth, biological natural male, and so
Mm-hmm.
you are not allowed to criticize that.
Yeah,
It makes them a
that
protected
honestly,
class, which is garbage.
that honestly makes no difference.
Yeah, but we know that because we're not rabid SJW lefties,
Yeah.
like the entirety of the rest of the Final Fantasy community.
Yeah. Actually, credit where it's due. I think the voice actually matches the character quite nicely.
I don't think so.
You don't?
I will fight you to the grave on that one. That is an artificially unnatural pitch on that voice the whole way through. That is
Well, that's what I mean.
that is got an artificial terrible accent on top of it. I think the English
yeah.
localization team is going to run into an issue where they used to be praised, but the voice acting in this expansion is so awful that that people will no longer be recommending Final Fantasy as a dub you can listen to. The only people that will continue to recommend it are people that are so in the lefty camp that they they just have to defend something like that or someone like that voicing a character.
Yeah.
It's awful the whole way through. I cannot stand any of it. And this further came to light when there was no casting, it appears, for any of these parts. The new director for English that took over for Toby Fox. Not Toby Fox. Koji Fox.
Koji Fox.
Different Fox. According to the forums, basically they didn't do any casting. They just gave the jobs to their friends.
Oh, that's never good.
Yeah, that's why they're all terrible. And if you go on the Twitter for the game right now and see the voice actors for Dawntrail, they are some of the most insufferable people you've ever met in your life. Like, I don't want these people to get any credit. I'm not going to allow them to get any praise in earshot of me without fighting back. Because they're just horrible people. The way they've been acting and behaving. Yeah, the way they've been acting and behaving is just awful. It's truly special.
Oh dear.
And they're basically doing the corpo thing of just telling the fans to shut up. You just don't get it. Like, just
I really don't know. Like, that idea popped up a few years back, and it just never went away. It's like, people disagree and they don't like your product, or they're offering, genuine criticism. No, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Or you're this or you're that. Let's start demonizing the people who we want them to give us our money.
And yeah, that's just been the sentiment I've seen from the people that are in charge of making Dawntrail a thing.
Yeah, this is why I don't social media.
I don't social media either, and I'm getting all this from the farms because I'm not going to go to a traditional social media site. I'll go to an old school forum, even if it is an internet hive of scum and villainy, because the type of interaction you get there is going to be a much longer form, bigger post, more well thought out experience than something you'll get on Twitter or Facebook or wherever.
That was kind of the criticism of Twitter when it first came out, actually. It's like, you only got 125 characters to get your point across. Yeah. You cannot do that.
Yeah, and now you still just get drive-bys, so it's still not worth it. But I'll go to an old school forum like the forums to see internet sentiment. And surprise, surprise, its reputation as internet hype of scum and villainy aside, it it's still got more nuanced and more well thought out takes than the rest of the community that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Because the format for a traditional forum allows that. So yeah.
Oops. We need to go back over to the town.
Oh, what happened? You cap on gemstones?
No, no. Actually, I think yes, but also I need to repair my gear.
Oh, I can repair gear. If you have any crafter leveled up to max level for the last expansion, you should repair your gear.
I'll try it. It's gonna let me do it while I'm on the.
Here. Yeah, you should just be able to repair it just fine.
Carpenter, no. Carpenter's the only crafter I have it fully upped.
Oh, okay. So you don't have all of them at 90.
Nah, I'm not an Omni crafter.
I am Omni Crafter, so because I leveled everything to 90, I can repair everything. Yeah, we can stop by the town.
All right.
So
anyway, what is your week? We should move on.
little bit of Final Fantasy doing roulettes and stuff. The raids came out. Can't talk about those yet. But
No.
those are a bit of positivity I can inject into the milieu of talking about the MSQ. And I think it is appropriate to continue to bang the drum on how bad this MSQ is to add to the noise, because we don't want them to do this again.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to make these casting decisions in air quotes again. I don't want them to make these story decisions again. So it as every opportunity I get, I will bang the drum for how bad this MSQ is, because I never ever want to see them do this again. I like this game and I'm invested in my character and my time through it at this point. And if I want to remain invested and continue enjoying my time, we need to make sure this doesn't happen. Mindra's over here.
Yep, and Gemtrail is right next to him. Convenient.
So if you're wondering why I'm spending an ungodly amount of time beating the drum on that, that's why. And it'll be going for several weeks now. That when the further progress Fern makes and the closer Vol gets to the end of the story, the more I will be able to beat about certain aspects of the story and the decisions they make. But aside from that, few roulettes and did the raids. I'm gonna put off talking about the raids entirely until you guys get up to them and unlock them, if possible, or at least until yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, one week when y'all have cleared the story, we'll have time to take y'all through them. That would be good, but that's going to require time, and so basically I desperately need you guys to get through the image. I can put my thoughts in full,
but I need time to do things.
I know. So because I didn't have Final Fantasy on the docket this week, I need to tab out briefly to pull this up. I have notes. Don't mute myself again. I got started on another game I've been looking forward to. So the we might be stutter stepping on the penalty hitting the boss fates or something.
I think we just did.
So I'm gonna be moving a little slower between fates, but basically, it's no secret that I'm a fan of the Trails games at this point. As dumb as some of the Cold Steel decisions are, I still love them. I love the Trail series. I want to see where it goes. I want to finally figure out what the deal with Ouroboros is and all that. I want to see their Big Myth arc come to a close. We're in the Calvert arc now, so we're in a totally new country. And much like Dawntrail, we are starting up a brand new story arc with very little connection to the previous events, other than Ouroboros being Boros. Probably help this guy.
Crash Panda.
Yeah, that's made that comment earlier. I'm gonna try and pick this guy up. The Kindness of Strangers 5. I think that's for resin random people.
Yeah.
Yes. Good Samaritan title for resin 200 people out of your party. Well, let's go to the boss one. While I'm talking about this, it's gonna be hard to stay alive. So yeah. The new games Kuro no Kiseki, or Trails into Daybreak, the awkwardly translated title, have come out. And we have a brand new combat system. Well, it's not super brand new. It borrows a lot from the previous one. But it definitely gives us a breath of fresh air because they had run that old system. And let's see, what's another way to how do I want to go about explaining? We have a new protagonist who is nothing like our other protagonists, and a new setup, and finally addressing some of the big background element lore questions of the universe as early as chapter 1 and 2.
Okay, they just get right into it.
Yeah. So the main story being addressed this time is the Orbital Revolution's founder, Mr. Epstein. He did not have an island, but he did create that we well, he might have actually, but
Oh dear.
it was for technological research, and he's the one that discovered orbital technology and is the reason Zemuria suddenly has cars and basically the industrial revolution on crack. He found a way
Right.
to take this mineral you can mine out of the earth and use orbments to convert the magical energy inside into basically electricity. Into magical electricity. So that's how that happened. And yeah, it's we're finding out more about that and the shenanigans that went into the creation of that, and that's been a big mystery of the universe because they are progressing so fast compared to the real world for just discovering this tech. And it turns out that there were a few bumps in the road, and Epstein might have put out a warning that said you need to do some things before X date or the world's going to end.
Oh, that's inconvenient.
So yeah, we're figuring out all that finally, which is nice and fun. And but mostly, like these games, especially the first game in any given arc, it's a character story. Now, Final Fantasy makes a very good comparison point for the Trails game right now because they're both, for us English speakers, in Trails we're starting up a new story arc, just like Dawntrail is. So you can see what happens when it's handled competently with a competent localizer, because our girl that plays Anila got brought back on as a consultant. Actually, more than a consultant. She was a big part of the. All my gear is spirit bonded. Like
All of it, just all together.
Everything except the weapon. Hang on. Yes, and they both have all can apparently hear us. Oh, don't retrieve materia, extract materia because. But yeah. So whereas Final Fantasy has a localizing team that has gone off the deep end and been infested by blue hairs that just do not give a crap about the product and just want to wave their diversity flag everywhere and hire their buddies. Forget her name. I'm just gonna call her Anila. Anila actually gives a crap about the Trails universe and was part of that major. It was part of the team that put together that big document at Xseed back when Xseed was doing the localization. That just goes through and explains the process of deciding how they're going to localize everything. And apparently she was involved with the ADR work for it as well. And holy crap, you can tell a difference when somebody cares.
Mm-hmm.
It is ridiculous, the quality difference in the localization between the two. Because I do the Trails games in English as well. And while they're not the most standout performances in the world, they're infinitely better than what we got in Dawntrail. And what's more, the characters they got, the people they got to do the voice work in. I'm just curious about something. Okay, we can't dive down there.
No.
There's some points you can
It's just,
dive.
it's just a hole in that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
they marked any different? Yeah, there might be.
there's
I'm back.
Oh, there
I'm
he is.
alive.
He's not quite
I
dead.
don't feel great, but I'm stable for the time being.
Right. So I was
What I ate yesterday.
in the process. I think you heard based on what you
Because I didn't take my headset off when I went to the bathroom and then found that I couldn't leave.
I'm
Oh no.
I'm comparing a game that has a competent localization and team and writing team to what we got in Dawntrail.
My favorite example of Dawntrail voice acting is there's a scene immediately after the opening of the second part of the story where there is a big crisis and Woot Lamart is crying over it after the fact. And
But after the crisis has already been resolved.
Oh no!
well, I mean, I don't know what I can say about that. But
Okay.
the voice acting for upset Woot Lamart and not upset Woot Lamart, they are just bolted together.
Oh dear.
So the tone of her voice just makes these really abrupt whiplash U-turns all the time. They clearly were recorded in totally different recording sessions and then just sort of glued together.
Yeesh.
Yeah. Versus where was I?
So
Yeah.
That's not
instead of
about the voice actor. That's like strictly directorial incompetence.
directorial and editing incompetence, yes.
Yeah, and in fact, for most of Dawntrail, if you told me that the director just scribbled some notes on the script and effed off for the rest of the day to go home early, I'd believe you. Versus our other example of localization that I'll use, which is Trails into Daybreak, where we got our girl from Exceed back helping. I think she was lead on the ADR actually, and she managed to tard wrangle a bunch of total newbies, one or two industry vets. I think Van's dude has at least some experience, his voice actor, and random internet personality types into something coherent and good. Like Anya is played by Amelie, and Amelie is normally one of the more grown-worthy voice actors these days when they got recruited out of the YouTube sphere. I'm just like, oh no, not her again. Go back to singing songs. But no, it turns out if you give her a competent director that can tard wrangle her, she can actually do a passable performance.
Well, I mean, the thing is that all you need to be in the Western voice acting sphere is a listenable voice. You don't need any talent. So everything else is being made up for by directorial skill. If it's bad, it's because like within the scale of the equality, if it's bad, it's because the director was bad, and if they're good, it's because the director was good.
Yeah.
There are very, very few genuinely talented voice actors in the industry in the West. It's not like a cutthroat only the best float to the top like in Japan.
Yeah. So what we've got for our director in Kurono Kiseki is Anila. She's back. They hired. I think they brought some of the old Xseed team back too. They got them on board after they came in and cleaned up the Geofront translations. And I'm not sure the whole story behind how all that went down, but a bunch of them are definitely working on the Trails games. And holy crap, it shows. Not just within the franchise itself, because Cold Steel had some bumpy parts, but because I have Dawntrail just sitting there in my face as an example of how to do it wrong, it stands out even more. Things don't have ears. How are we,
No.
how are we collecting ears?
Maybe it's like the way corn has ears.
Maybe.
They don't have any of those either, I guess.
But
Have you met the corn? Have you met the corn servant yet?
I'm trying to involve me.
I don't. I'm not sure what of.
Looked like you got a whole bunch of poison stacks.
Yes, there is an NPC called the corn servant.
Yeah,
I am intrigued and terrified.
it's stuff like the corn servant that would normally get us excited in a sane expansion. Need to kill a few
Looks
more.
like we need to go. Keep going. Yeah.
Seven or eight is usually the most you need to cap out, no matter what the scaling is. But yeah, so they've managed to get passable performances on everybody except for two nameless thugs at the very start of the game. Those are the only two I
They
have.
might be from the mailroom.
Yeah, like they were clearly either just from the generic pool of extras that you can hire from it wherever they did the recording here, or they could have been the janitor. And since they're the first characters you hear speak, it's a little worrying when that happens. But they die. They die stone
Oh.
dead pretty quickly. So
Thank you, Expendable Minion 1 and 2.
yeah, Thug 1 and Thug 2. So well, that was worrying at first. After that, we were off to the races, and I don't have any complaints about the voice acting or even the localization choices for some of the stuff in Cup. Okay, yeah. So Van, despite his name, is not a fan of vans. He likes trucks. Specifically, he likes his truck, and he likes his truck a lot. It has got to the point where I am pretty sure Van is just his truck sexual.
Oh my!
Yeah, the only valid ship in this game is Van X truck.
Yeah, so I've got some things to help illustrate this point. So
He likes his truck a little bit too much.
I've been taking pictures as I go through the game. I'm still in chapter 1.
It's like the mecha anime based around Idolmaster.
Oh no!
So I'm just going to dump these here. The truck gets its own title card.
Of course it does.
And Van's reason for hating Ouroboros isn't because there's some shady clandestine group that's doing weird crap in the background. No. The reason he's mad at Ouroboros is because Walter from Sky, the direwolf, one of their enforcers, picked up his truck and chucked it at a robot. So I'm already a bigger fan of Van and his motivations than I am of Reen.
Well, Reen didn't have a personality. Reen was Kirito.
Yeah, Reen. Well, I'm not even that might be saying too much for Reen. I really started to sour on Reen by the end of Cold Steel. But and also, you do not touch a boy's truck. He will get out of his car on the interstate to come and murder you. So, Van is a much more fun protagonist than we've had recently. We've had to put up with Reen for 5 games now. 4 and a third, really, but
and Van doesn't initiate lewd head pats.
Yeah, we're at a 0 on the head pat counter from Van.
Presumably, unless you're a truck.
So whereas Reen collected a harem of girls that he didn't want to do anything with, Van
strictly monogamous for the truck.
Yeah, Van is in a very devoted relationship with his truck, and also Van he collects employees for his business rather than a harem. Where after every chapter he just gets a new employee against his will.
You know, in other settings, I would say that's just a harem with extra steps.
I promise you, he does not have any romantic feelings for any of his employees. And they do not look like they'll develop, because Van is also the oldest protagonist we've had. He's in his mid-20s. So he's not Estelle, who's a kid. He's not, 18, 19 like Lloyd is. He's not Reen, who we meet in literal high school.
And since this is anime, he will die at 30.
Well, in this universe, so that's been a big thing in the recent Cold Steel games, and a source of legitimate criticism. The Cold Steel games played the death fake out card way too much.
Ah.
And basically, nobody died when they were killed. It didn't matter.
How old is Estelle's dad?
Mid-30s? 40s?
So he was
How
ancient.
old was he when Estelle was born?
20? So yeah, I forget how...
Questions.
He's probably in his 40s by now, because time progresses in chunks as we hit time skips. So He was in his 30s when Estelle was younger in Sky. So I imagine he's in his 40s now. Oh, we can look this up. Hang on. He's
Wasn't Estelle like 16 in Sky or something?
Hang on, we're
at
looking.
the start?
We're looking it up.
So if he's in his 30s, then we're getting awfully close to him fathering Estelle when he was a kid himself.
At present, Cassius was 45 at the end of the Cold Steel arc. And Estelle was at the end of that arc. If I can find her. Estelle was 20 at the end of that arc. So he had Estelle when he was 25.
Okay. How old is what's his name?
Joshua?
The prince.
Oh, Olivier.
Prince. Yeah.
Your boy Olivier is, I'd imagine he's in early 30s, late 20s. Let me check.
Because I had no way to gauge his age in Trails in the Sky. Like, it's totally ambiguous.
Olivier Risse Arnoir. He is 25 to 26 in Sky, 29 by the end of the Cold Steel.
What about Shira?
I think they are the same age.
Right. What about Mueller?
Mueller is about five years older than Olivier, I think.
Right. Okay.
I can scroll up and down this wiki page all day, but you guys can go look up all that stuff if you want.
Well, I'm just trying to get like a rough picture of where everybody stands because they're all just little sprites to me because I only played Sky.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know how old anybody is.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Olivier was 25 in Sky, and now he's in his early 30s by the start of the current game.
Has he grown up any?
No.
So he's still a permanent headache for Mueller?
Mueller, there are many side quests in the Cold Steel games where Mueller's just like, hey, I've got an idiot I need to go find.
I mean, yeah.
Realistically, it's probably skilling him up real fast because Olivier gets into all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, just poor Mueller.
By the time he's finally relieved of his duties of taking care of Olivier, he's probably going to be like Cassius level skilled.
Yeah, Cassius is on the level of an international calamity if he shows up. He, until very recently, was completely banned from Erebonia.
Realistically, Olivier does cause international calamities wherever he shows up.
Yeah, he's just usually not the one that's the trigger puller for him. He just instigates them. So yeah, that's where they're at. But we're putting most of the cast on the backbench. It looks like there have, as of chapter 2, been only one returning character who we've seen from the skirt down, and this was the biggest age jump that I recall that caught me off guard. So, you know Reen from the Sky games, the little girl, the Ouroboros girl, Angel of Death, has a scythe, has a big robot.
As you do.
She has decided to go to school in Calvert and is now 17 and will be 18 next game. And according to the wiki page, once she hits 18, we're A-okay for the Slooty outfits.
Oh,
I'm like, I remember you when you didn't come up to Estelle's knees. But yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the same case with what's her name, right? The girl who's always hanging around with Agate.
Oh, Tita?
Yeah, like she showed up when she was really young as well.
Yeah, she was like 12, 13 or something. She was going to Thor's in Erebonia. And that's the last we saw of her. She was a semi-recurring character in that arc, except she's graduated from a rocket launcher to a full-on power suit.
Sounds logical.
I mean, she's Tita. It's kind of what she do.
Still failing to close that age gap with Agate.
Yeah, well, it's getting shorter, relatively speaking, and Agate continues to deny that anything is building there or that he's a groomer. Nobody believes him. But But yeah, that's all that aside. We got instead we've got for this one a setup with a brand new story that's still focusing mostly on the new characters and the setting of Calvert itself. Calvert, because every single place in Zimmeria has to have a different form of government to distinguish itself. Calvert is a republic, and I'm not sure what the writers were going for here with this, even though it's clearly the game is from several years ago, so it can't have anything too modern in terms of relating to political commentary. But they do have gone out of their way to show that basically unchecked illegal immigration is not a good thing, and they allow you to see both sides of the argument for it, which I was kind of surprised by because I'm used to Western media just being immigration good. And this is being a big source of conflict in Calvert apparently because the immigrants are coming in and being immigrants. In
Like in the gerbs.
No, they're enriching their culture with stabbings.
Oh, I see.
That type of immigrant.
Ah,
And so yeah, the further
I
so
like the Australian solution where they just put them on an island and leave them there.
I mean, yeah.
with the boss follow up.
I think we might need to revisit that island soon.
Yeah. So to further separate us from the previous games, we've got our protagonist who is not a bracer. He's not somebody that, works in the adventuring biz and taking jobs from the bracer job board and working his way up the bracer ranks. He's not a military student like Reen, who's studying to work for the government and working formally for them and doing as much as he can above board. He's not Lloyd, who's a literal member of the Fuzz. He is what they call in Calvert as a Spriggan. And Spriggans are basically racers that do jobs that are so on the line of legality that while the government can't technically come down on them, they really, really wish that they could. Because the Spriggans will just not ask questions and will take courier jobs. And if there was drugs or guns in that briefcase, we didn't know about it. We just hired to run the case. Like, oh, the Jaeger groups are coming around? Yeah, we can go investigate. A bunch of people might die, but it'll all be self-defense. That kind of gray area of the law in Calvert.
Action movie illegality.
Yeah, so he is a much more morally flexible protagonist, which is just for the chains of pace is nice. I'm not normally a super big fan of this character archetype or this character job, but given what we've had to deal with the past several games, just getting to go in a different direction is nice. And it lets him play a lot more loose with the authorities, because in the previous Sky games, regardless of whether you're in Liberl or Erebonia or Crossbell, well, part of Crossbell anyway, until the government completely falls apart, the protagonists always have to side with the governmental powers. Van doesn't give a crap about the government, and this has endeared him to me way more than you would think it would. Van, in fact, hates the government, and will go out of his way to cause problems with his government associates whenever he can, and he especially hates the Fuzz, and will send the Fuzz on wild goose chases that they'll come yell at him for later, but they can't prove he did anything wrong in the court, so it doesn't matter. So I'm like, good on you, Van. You keep doing you. I can respect your line of work. So yeah, that's as far as I've gotten really. We've been introduced to new characters. The only other big notable departure is that Van has already got a body count of named characters that he has killed personally on screen through a mercy kill.
Huh.
Like there's a sister of one of his future employees is dying from the sick that she gets by being in a bad feels juice area, and there's no cure for it. She's just going to turn to a raving monster, and because her sister can't do it, Van just walks up and does the deed himself. puts her out of her
It's
misery.
cold. That's cold, man.
Yeah,
It's cold.
he is a very, very, he's very capable of doing stuff like that. But he's not an edgy protagonist at all. He has plenty of moments of, why are you touching my truck? I get the feeling the whole truck subplot was written just to make him, just to de-edgify him. Show he's just has enough goober moments to make him a character instead of an edgelord. Because it'd be very easy for him to fall into too cool for school edgelord archetype, but they managed to avoid it, and it's in big part thanks to that stupid truck.
Are you saying bad things about his truck?
No, I'm saying his truck is doing him a solid.
All right then.
So I'm enjoying the game so far. I'll report back as I get further into it. I'm not that far yet, but that's where most of my gaming time has gone because I just don't want to spend it in Final Fantasy. The only thing I've done in Final Fantasy is grind up my gathering and one crafting profession so I can meld materia. I can cook my materia directly into my gear now. I don't have to go spend 2,000 gil at the melder every time I want to meld.
All right. Unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot in the way of news this week because of events.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the past, I've told Americans to chill out when events happen that people in the other parts of the world would not be happy about. You are not an American, and you're out there saying something along the lines of, I wish somebody had better aim. Please go jump off a cliff in Minecraft. I'm sick of hearing
Oh
it.
dear.
I am sick to
Yeah.
death, especially of foreigners acting like that. I don't like Americans doing it either. But you people especially? No. My turn.
Yeah. Without going too
Realistically, the foreigners that are saying it, they aren't saying it because they actually think that. They're saying that because they're copying what they're hearing the American media say.
Yeah. So-
without getting too deep into things, it's been an eye-opening week.
Yeah, you really find out who is thinking for themselves and who is entirely bought into the Democrat media complex.
Yeah. Also, seeing Tenacious D get thrown out of Australia was interesting.
I wish they'd been formally deported because that would have been funny.
It would have been, but I think they said, "Yeah, okay, we're going."
Well,
I
I
don't think
mean,
Tenacious D is actually a thing now. Actually,
they it's
As
it's
of this week.
basically dead because Kyle lost his agent.
Yeah,
Over it, and then he posted an apology, but today he deleted the apology,
of course he did.
so he unapologized, I guess.
He unapologized. Yes. So yeah,
The sheer pettiness of these people who think that they're important.
yeah.
Yeah, you had a bit part in the Tenacious D movie, and that's all anybody will ever remember you for.
Oh, there we go. Level up. Let's see. That gives me enhanced tactician. Okay. Meh. Useful but boring.
So yeah, those events have totally consumed the world right now. It was actually ongoing last week, but
It was all still very, very fresh at that point.
yeah, it happened like right before we started the show, or maybe it was
Yeah.
the day after. Was it Saturday or Sunday?
It was the. Oh, jeez. Saturday?
Yeah. And while this is not MPP, I will say, if you want a fun piece of media to go consume, for once in my life, I can say that a political party convention for a United States political party was actually a ton of fun to go watch.
Yeah, like when I saw
Cheerio.
Hulk Hogan, when I
Yeah.
saw Hulk Hogan, I was like, this is the US being the America everybody outside the US knows America can be.
That was my second thought. My first thought was, hang on, weren't you dead? But anyway.
Yeah, it's
I thought Hulk Hogan was dead, but apparently he's not.
no, he just got.
He's
he-
not dead.
It was a big thing
not dead.
in about a year ago that he
He was the
converted
one that took down Gorka, remember?
Yeah, no, I thought he died just after that. But anyway.
No, there's a big news story about a year ago of him converting to Christianity and getting baptized.
Okay, that I missed entirely. So yeah, that's kind of consumed everything, but a few things have been ongoing.
What was the most American thing I'd ever seen, to be honest?
Yeah,
This is the America that I love. This is the country that I grew up in, and all the stories and history of our culture speaks about is Hulk Hogan getting up at the Republican National Convention and ripping his shirt off.
because that is what he do.
That is the America that I believe in. That moth died fast.
Where is the
Yeah.
scaling, bruh?
Still got gold.
It looks like the train just re-showed up after taking a hiatus. They're back now.
True.
If you like just rotate between zones, are you able to like take advantage of resetting scaling or something?
Yeah, if the fate cycles back around, it'll take the previous amount of people that did it.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Aside from that, we kind of did hint on the whole Ubisoft thing. That's still ongoing.
So yeah, I missed this one entirely. So this one y'all have to prime me for.
This is all about Assassin's Creed Shadows and their cultural appropriation of of Japan. Blech.
China.
Right. Well, so basically, well, you could argue that they culturally appropriated Japan, but they got so much of the details wrong that it's sort of hard to be sure that that's what they were doing. In fact, one of the major complaints that a lot of the Japanese people viewing the media preceding the game's release had was that, wait, this architecture, this particular design, this is Chinese stuff. You've just sort of put generically Oriental looking things in here, haven't you? You have no idea whether this is Japanese or not.
So there's been a bunch of fun additional ones. Like you had that booth at was it Anime Con or Anime Expo? Made up of I'll admit it's made up of cheap Amazon tat for the most part, which is fine for these sorts of booths. No one's really going to care. Except the centerpiece was a katana on a stand, a very familiar katana. Yeah, it was one of Roanoa Zoa's katanas on a stand with rather distinctive lettering on it, which was also wrong.
But they just basically found a cosplay katana on AliExpress or whatever.
Yeah, and just went with that.
Yeah. So basically, Ubi have had a totally clownish disregard for the sort of representing of the setting that they previously put a huge amount of effort into, back in the day. But more to the point, the centerpiece of the story, of course, is about Yasuke, the famed black samurai. So
Gay black samurai now.
Yeah, because everybody in Ubisoft games is. But basically, this sort of nettled a lot of people because Yasuke, as he exists in primary and even secondary sources, there are about 2 sentences describing what he did, and essentially he was basically an amusing clown for Nobunaga. I think Spanish, can't remember exactly. It was mainly the Spanish who were operating in that area. He was a slave of a servant man or whatever of a Spanish clergyman who was a missionary in Japan at the time. And Nobunaga tended to be pretty indulgent of missionaries, but when he brought this guy into to his throne room, Nobunaga didn't believe that there could be a person of this color. This is just the most ridiculous thing he'd ever seen, and tried to get him to wash it off, but it didn't work. At any rate, he managed to convince the missionary to let the samurai join his court. At which point, he basically had him carry stuff around for him.
It's not the only.
Yasuke
wasn't the only
disappears.
person that Nobunaga did that to either.
Yeah, like this is just Nobunaga collected interesting things. It was one of the things that he did.
One of his chief bodyguards was there specifically because he was tall. That was it.
But Yasuke then disappears from the historical record. He reappears basically at Honoji, where the Nobunaga story basically comes to an end. And he is, since he's one of Nobunaga's attendants. He's present at the time, and because he's standing on a battlefield, he's armed. One of Akechi Mitsuhide's retainers approaches him and says that they won't kill him if he turns over his sword, and he immediately does.
Yep, and
And
goes straight back to the mission.
he's taken captive, and then after holding him for a certain amount of time to decide what they should do with him, they just return him to the Spanish.
Yeah, and that's basically it. That's the story.
Everybody here is going to think you're trolling them, Aristiel.
Yeah, why did you do that?
You just
Oh.
leashed the entire wave,
Well,
and now we've got to kill them.
Well, they're all coming to eat me.
I don't like this.
Well, don't bite off more than you can chew, because you can get reported for crap like that in this game.
It is kind of a dick move, yeah.
Well, it's not like it was intentional. I didn't know they were going to chew me that hard.
Well, I'm not accusing you of doing it intentional. I'm just telling you you're going to get reported.
Yeah.
Because people do that in this game.
Anywho,
Don't worry, I got kicked out of a front line for not healing enough on White Mage.
you what now? But you're blue deep, green deeps.
No. I got legit kicked out of
I gotta run away.
Oh no, everybody else died.
I will res them if I can survive.
There's too many bugs. So anywho, yeah, until fairly recently, that was basically it for his entries in the in history.
Unfortunately, somebody decided that they had a narrative to push. And
Yes.
a particular individual, whose name escapes me because I'm not actually looking at the articles, decided that he was going to basically build a grift on the back of this sort of cultural curiosity. And so he basically created whole cloth a bunch of sort of elaborately circularly referenced stories about Yasuke. And the outcome was the emergence of this Yasuke the Black Samurai legend.
Mm-hmm.
There's no historical grounding for Yasuke being a samurai whatsoever. He's just an attendant who was carrying a sword at the time that he betrayed his master. Not exactly the most glowing sort of backstory for a samurai. But oh my goodness, are we just going to do this all day?
Yes.
Yes.
We would be done by now if people were using the one at a time strat. You know that, right?
Quite possibly.
But this guy basically came along and he added a bunch of sort of like elaborations and speculations, and then through basically referencing bibliographies and stuff, this pretty much became sort of de facto reality. Like it became de facto like reports about the way things really were, even though they weren't founded on any primary sources. They had lengthened the chain of references sufficiently that it looked like they were recounting a scholarly consensus. So this guy basically he sold a lot of books on this. He managed to have courses created where he would teach people about Yasuke the Black Samurai and black people in Japan and that type of thing. Basically a humongous grift. And this had permeated the pop culture consciousness to the point where Yasuke started to become like a recurring character in a lot of media, and that includes things like Samurai Warriors and that type of thing, video games, culminating in the Assassin's Creed game that Ubisoft is putting out, and decided that they were going to undertake the unspeakably tone-deaf maneuver of having a game about Japan starring a black African. But the basically they would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling kids type of thing. Those meddling kids being the people who were phoning it in their own game development studio, because this probably would have passed more or less unnoticed as sort of like an insulting corollary to an insulting record that Ubisoft have for making terrible games. But they did so egregiously poorly at representing Japanese culture, and were so disgracefully abasing themselves before the idea of having a black character in the game and forcing all of the other Japanese characters to bow to him and that sort of thing, like to the point where the average Japanese gamer decided to take it as personally insulting.
There
And
is
so
a very big petition now.
basically engaging gametism as your enemy is a very poor move, and historically this has been the case.
Because
So
gamers have the autisms.
So the TISM then got turned to investigating the legitimacy of this portrayal, and it was found that basically everything about it was legitimate. This illegitimacy continued to expand until it was found that most of what it was believed in the pop culture to be known about Yasuke was just circularly referenced speculation from this one guy.
Yep. Things like he'd actually wrote his own, or rewrote the Wikipedia page referencing his own work.
Yeah, he's been camping that Wikipedia page ever since he started this grift and ensuring that anybody who visited Wikipedia to get sort of like the précis version of who Yasuke is got his version of the story. So,
Yep.
yeah, and then they would go and they would look for information and it would be his books. So they would read his books as, oh, Wikipedia must be right because
Incidentally,
this book has the same story in it.
yeah, if you're wondering why educational, or reputable educational faculties do not accept Wikipedia as a reference, this is why.
Yeah, now there are some sectors of Wikipedia that are autistic enough to for that not to be as much of a problem, but this was not one of them, since this is a cultural hot button issue that people can grift off of. But so essentially, this guy managed to establish himself as the leading academic on Yasuke, and there's no fundamental basis for any of it because ultimately the only information that exists about Yasuke in primary sources is just a couple of lines. And as a result, it was found that his entire career was fraudulent. So all of the reputation that he built up at educational institutions, all the courses that he authored, all of that has now disappeared. It is all deleted as being, not useful to anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, where are we?
So this is an issue that is going to be put.
There's one up there.
and
The one up there.
I'm probably going to mispronounce it. The diet or whatever it is, the DA. Basically, Japan's parliament is going to investigate the issue.
Yeah, basically every conceivable tangentially related ministry has been receiving a slew of letters about how this is an insult to Japanese culture, etc., etc. And so yeah, basically this has the potential of turning into a diplomatic incident between Canada and Japan as a result of this. So yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But yeah, that it would not be the first time something like this has happened. Like there was what was it? There was I think the Egyptian government sued over a depiction of Cleopatra once.
That was pretty recently, actually. Yes,
yeah,
they
quite
tried
recently,
to say she was African.
They made sub-Saharan African Cleopatra, and Cleopatra was Greek.
Yes.
So yeah, the Egyptian government sued the creators of that drama for taking liberties with Egyptian history and treating it as fact.
That wasn't the only thing they got wrong, but that was the most notable. They got
wrong. That was the one that was wrong that they put on the poster.
Yes. So this is going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. This author is now completely disgraced, of course. But
pretty much the new Assassin's Creed game is going to have a whole bunch of baggage when it comes out.
Yeah.
Like,
so
what it will be most famous for is being a disgrace.
Yeah, like Assassin's Creed has always been historical fiction, but
it was a fictional story taking place in a historical place.
Yeah, that's the historical fiction part. Historical fiction will use actual history as a framework and write a story within that. You don't.
The Yasuke Japan is not a historical location.
Yeah, you don't change the history to fit your story. You change your story to fit the history. That's how you write historical fiction.
Yeah, there needs to be some sort of verisimilitude to it. If it beggars belief, like if you've got a giant black guy who everybody bows to in the street as your stealth assassin, how are you going to? Yeah, how are you going to How are you going to get that to work? Well, why is it during peacetime? The era in which Nobunaga was in charge was definitely not what I would describe as peacetime.
No, that's true. So yeah, I'm not sure where they're coming at with that argument.
Oh, not the
But,
Among Us.
Yeah.
There was no
Basic-
active battlefield where they were, so that maybe that may
Well,
be where
they
they're at.
weren't standing on the battlefield, no. But
Yes.
yeah, there were still rules about where you could and couldn't carry a blade, but you could carry a blade anywhere you wanted if you were actually a samurai. The issue is that Yasuke wasn't. So yeah, the whole thing is a mess, and I think I would not shed a tear if Ubisoft just disappeared off the face of the earth. So I don't really care what happens to them. They've shown that they have. If they ever had any ability to make a good game in their studio, it is certainly not there anymore because they haven't produced anything worth a damn in a very long time.
Assassin's Creed Black Flag and maybe the non-Rabbids Rayman games.
The Assassin's Creed Black Flag, my dude, is almost a decade old. It might even be a decade.
I know. Why do you think I haven't bought an Ubisoft game in over a decade?
Well, I signed off of Ubisoft when they made Uplay a thing.
Yeah.
I know it's gone now, but I haven't forgiven them.
Although I did see one suggestion that somebody's thrown up, and that is their subscription service through Uplay is a thing. So if you really have to buy and play this game, you subscribe to Uplay for 1 month, you play the game, and you unsubscribe.
No, you
The
just don't buy
$100
the
game you just paid $20 for.
Just spend your time playing a game that's good.
Yeah, just
AKA not Dawntrail.
yeah. If you want to actually play a good game like that, then yeah, go. There's plenty of options.
Okay, I'm kind of on the I vote we
Ghost of
abandon.
Tsushima. Go play Ghost of Tsushima. There you go.
I vote we abandon this fate and go wait for a boss fate somewhere.
Yeah, this is how about no
You don't like the squirrels?
squirrels?
Well, we murdered like 20 of them and the bars barely moved.
Well, you could round them all up and hope that they spend so much time telegraphing that we don't die.
I mean, except for, well...
Because when those clowns came through here and scaled it through the stratosphere, that's just basically going to remain that way until we move to another shard.
Yeah. There is one other aspect, I suppose, about this we should quickly touch on, and that is what Ubisoft can actually do to get it out of this. Unfortunately, the easiest option is just to say, "Oh, it's fiction," and call it a day. But that's not an option for Assassin's Creed.
Well,
Not without completely cutting your own brand.
Well, the thing is that I think that they're also too proud to do that because they themselves are invested in this idea as an ideological thing.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that everything that ever happened of any significance in world history was done by black people. Like this is just something that there are a lot of people who are ideologically committed to this point of view. Most of those people, if not all of those people, are not actually black.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh, the
boy.
squirrels!
The
Those
Momongas!
squirrels!
The Momongas! The nimble Momongas!
Yeah, not the telegraphings.
No, please keep telegraphing.
They're just not where I'm trying to flamethrower, please. I do a lot of damage, I just can't move.
Such nimble Momongas.
Alright. I know there was something else from the news this week that I did cross my path briefly, and I completely forgot what it was.
You weren't doing any damage, so I got aggro and instantly killed.
Hang on, I will do a drive-by. Drive-by res.
This is bad. That bar has not moved.
Oh no.
What are
Oh,
we
no.
doing?
Oh no.
I'm gonna have to abandon Marmot. I got no buttons left. I'm gonna have to de-aggro.
But you're at half your health, man. You'll be fine.
I had shields and potions and all those buttons, and I ran out of them. Oh no!
I'll give you a shield. It'll be fine. Well,
It doesn't.
when
It
you
doesn't do
heal.
that anymore. It's just tactician.
It is just tactician now, yes.
Okay, I'll
Which
rip
is also on
shot.
cooldown, by the way. Oh no! I think this zone might be broken.
My weakness debuff. My weakness debuff.
Oh no! I got.
These things hit really hard. What is this? Only level 91. Come on.
I will res you in a moment.
That's fine. Take your time.
We will defeat
there's-
the small squirrel first.
there is so many squirrels, and they are small and cute and deadly.
Okay, where did you fall over? Oh.
Way over here. I was trying to get out of the fate, and they would not disengage. Oh right, yeah. There was a few other things that happened during the week.
Oh, we have a tank.
We have tank. Oh, thank goodness. There was that international security issue from.
I was
Oh,
so
what was it?
frightened it was going to affect
CrowdStrike.
my work.
Yeah, it wound up not biting me that hard. A couple of the companies I needed to get in touch with said they were hit by it, but didn't affect me
Yeah.
directly.
Yeah, the bits of Telstra that got hit didn't actually stop anything from working. The TV stopped working for a while, but that was about it.
That. I wouldn't consider that a problem.
Yeah,
Do you some good, but less
that's
TV.
okay. I don't watch it anyway.
Free market Yaktel.
I'm miles away from that, or halfway sort of thing. I think.
All right. Shall we wrap up then?
Yeah, I think that covers just about everything. And for a nice,
Yeah, I don't. What is there anything else? I think they decided to delay the next patch of Honkai Star Rail because by one day, or either they moved it forward or moved it back by one day because one of the characters who is going to be making her debut has the sort of the title, the Airstrike General, and the original deploy date was supposed to be 9/11.
Oh, yeah, that's yeah. You want to change that one?
But yeah, and the other thing was that the English voice actors because English voice actors can't stop causing problems. For Genshin Impact have started a petition to boycott Genshin Impact
Oh, that's right. That was it.
because of
Yes.
not there being not enough melanin in the cast.
And yeah, because they're all the cast isn't diverse enough, and all this. What are you talking about?
But these are fantasy characters in a fantasy world. How do you
And
get
with-
to decide how much melanin there should be in the cast?
Yeah, like they're all from very disparate, wildly different cultures from all over a different fantasy world. There you go. There's your diversity. Shut up.
No, they're all too white. Like the thing is that there are other English voice actors who have tried to do this with other gacha companies in the past. And do you know what those companies did?
fired all
They
of them?
stopped subbing.
Fired them.
They stopped doing an English version.
Mm-hmm. This never works.
You're not going to keep your job this way. China is not interested in your opinion about how much melanin should be in the cast.
Yeah.
And this entire consensus on that Natland should be a high melanin count zone seems to be entirely manufactured in the imagination of the fan base.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. It's because it's got sort of like a vaguely Mesoamerican vibe to it in certain respects in certain places. They've just this is like character sexualities. It's just it metastasizes in the twisted minds of the fan base until it's just like absolute truth. It's like the you can tell that Natlan is not supposed to be full of black people because Natlan is not full of black people because it's a fantasy country. And if the people creating the fantasy country say it's not full of black people, it's because it's not full of black people. Not because it should be full of black people, but they whitewashed them.
I mean, Sumeru had a whole bunch of Indian influence there, but I didn't see no 7-Elevens around every corner.
Well, they did protest like this for Sumeru as well. The same thing happened.
Yeah, they promptly got ignored.
Yeah, it didn't do anything then. It's not going to do anything now, but it might be enough to get them fired. I hope it was worth it for them.
Since this isn't the first go around at it, it probably will be the last.
But a lot of these people, the only career that they have is being known as people who have voiced character X in Genshin. It's like, you really want to undercut yourself this way for such a petty reason as I think that the story should have been written this way, but it wasn't, and I'm going to protest? Like this whole way of thinking is purely American manufacture as well. Like, you can find it in other places, but only because California has exported it.
This is all Callie's fault. You know, there supposedly is this wonderful point in history where Callie was not a literal poop hole.
Was there?
I don't know how true.
There was, because of the, what was it called? The Hays Code? Something like that.
Something like that.
The code that meant that all entertainment had to have certain moral standards to it, which everybody said was really oppressive, but it was also the golden age of cinema because people had to be clever about how they told their stories instead of just being crass.
Bludgeon you over the head with the message.
It's not. It was not like Hollywood wasn't left wing back then, but they had to be intelligent as well. And once they were allowed to just be as crass as they liked, that era came to an end, because it would just be like, you know, all gratuitous sex on scene at all times, etc. When they wanted to imply romance, they would just do it by having porn. The tone is just, you know, declined a great deal as a result of being able to do whatever they wanted. Like, all creativity grows in the most significant and noticeable way when it occurs within constraints that make it difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You just tend to get dross when people are given infinite money. Like, the Lord of the Rings of Power thing was basically, okay, so you've got the Lord of the Rings as a setting and you've got infinite money to create a series. Look at what they produced.
Yeah.
They were given complete
correct.
freedom of budget and complete creative control to do whatever they liked. And so what did they do with the setting? Well, they were told they could do whatever they liked, so they totally ignored it. And made total garbage. So yeah, you need, I think, in order to create quality entertainment, it needs to be done within certain constraints.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you give somebody a total free hand, they write Work Lamart. So they don't really know what they're doing. They're not compelled in any particular direction. Like, the story as it wore on in the previous major arc of FF14, to bring things full circle, the scope of movement got narrower and narrower as the story went along because of the number of plot threads that had to be woven together. And once all of those plot threads were tied up and the rough part severed off and the story was called done and they had complete freedom again, they were unable to restart. Demonstrably, they've been unable to restart. Because they have attempted to produce the same type of thing without the foundations that they were building on before.
All right, let's take Fernbeck's down.
Yay!
You could have taken them around to get the ether currents while you were at it.
I grabbed a few while I was out and about, but I haven't finished the main story yet, so there's no whole lot.
Yeah, the last one almost always comes from the main story quest's last step.
I think it just up and does now. It's always there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or that, and it unlocks the other 2 quests.
Yeah. Yeah. Just wait till you see the solution you have for the problems of the lizard people down there.
I don't even know what their problem is, except for like
Realistically,
everyone.
isn't it identical to the solution that they used in the bird place? The essentially like for Kona.
I think it's a bit different in that it's in
Just walk up and solve the problem. You mean?
Yeah, yeah. You walk up, you call Charlian on the phone, and the problem goes away.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'll work. We can go with that. It's just the discussion beforehand is so mind-bogglingly stupid. Have you tried planting different stuff?
Have you
It's like
tried not
your
being an
crops
idiot?
your crops are not doing well. Try growing something else. Oh, we've been here for thousands of years, but we haven't discovered anything about, crop rotations or growing different types of crops, or we've just been like stupid peasants trying to farm the same thing over and over again and failing every time.
Yeah.
That's a part of the story, though far from the most important part coming up.
It's a tiny facet of it, but it's sort of like an example of just the level of idiot writing that goes into the challenges the people in this country face. Like, there is no way this civilization would have lasted 10 years, let alone 1,000.
Like my favorite dumb one that I can almost write off because it's Goblins, but not quite, is maybe we shouldn't feed the goldsmiths hot pockets.
Thought their solution was let's feed them hot pockets so they never leave.
Well, the thing is that the backstory is that they have been using this pot packed system for 80 years and have never at any point encountered the fact that Makoto can't handle really hot food.
Yes.
80 years and they never figured that out.
You'd think someone would have said something before that.
Or that maybe sitting perpetually in the same room as an active kiln gets really hot. 80 years and they never figured that out.
Goblins are dumb, but there's a limit on dumb we can accept. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Fern, hopefully you make more progress on the story. We have a lot we need to go into about it, and I cannot wait to tear this thing apart in full.
And be prepared though, because I know that you're always more positive and more forgiving than the two of us. But
yeah, like for the voice acting, for example, I have a higher threshold for terrible voice acting.
I don't know.
I've seen some particular scenes that even if I was going to be forgiving would have broke me over. The one that I alluded to earlier, where she goes in the space of one line from like wailing and grieving to everything is normal now. Let's talk like nothing just happened.
Oh yeah.
The camera does not even move away from her.
Yeah. Okay, enough of that.
Yeah.
It's like it's literally Wook Lamart's gag played straight.
You mean Luke Evans?
Oh yeah, Wook
Evu.
Yeah.
Wook Lamart just cracks it out for no reason.
But no, it's not that she cracks out the actual gag, but she does go from like high emotional level to non-existent emotional level instantaneously.
I'm calm now.
Maybe the writer got confused and only saw the first part of the name.
Yeah, it's a Wook, so we'll do the gag again.
Yeah. We'll do the gag again, and the director's gone to lunch and doesn't care anyway. So yeah, okay.
I need Yoshi P on deck, and I need what's his name? Koji Fox on deck. I need these people to pay attention and unscrew this game up because it's a mess right now. And I'm sure Koji Fox is woke as hell, but he needs to grow some balls and put his foot down and say, no, this game was actually supposed to be good. You have to make it good, not woke. At least the score is good. I have enjoyed the score generally.
Well,
it might not be the best work they've ever done. There are some real sour notes in there, and I really, really, really don't like the Blue Zones music. It grates on my nerves, but so did Lahi. I like Lahi better. But
he is at least silly and knows what it is.
But yeah, generally speaking, the scoring is not bad. I quite like it. Even though I know Soken was busy with a lot of stuff, um, his trainees, his students are pretty good. I don't necessarily like their styles in every situation, and they certainly diverge from their masters quite a bit. But it's still quality composition, generally speaking.
At least we don't have to hear Trombone Hero anymore.
Wop, 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 wop.
I don't know, like when I hear Trombone Hero now, I think of better times.
No, 'cause I think of incredibly disappointing Relic Quest is what I think of.
Yeah, when I go there, I think I'm buying my Tombstone weapon out of a shop.
Wop, wop, wop.
Wah, 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 wah.
You at least you can't argue that it's not memorable.
We'll give it that.
If the first time I sit down and play it, a full expansion every patch, and the hub city for the in-game stuff is blah, 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 every time.
Yeah. Now at least you go to the main city and it's, swing and drums.
At least you can reach the freaking Aetherite and rouse it.
That's actually a point.
Oh yeah, you haven't got to the in-game hub yet, Fern. It's not till Zone 5.
Oh no, is it that bad?
They put this number one. It's the size of the fucking the infinite city in Warhammer Age of Reckoning, and number two, they put a giant pit around the Aetherite, so you can't get close to it.
You gotta.
Okay.
When you spawn in and teleport, you are too far away to interact with the Aetherite again. You have to walk forward a bit every single time, and it will drive you insane.
And you always need to walk further forward than you think you do as well.
And just
didn't think that through.
Just to highlight how screwed up that whole zone is, there are invisible walls everywhere that don't have proper collision on them that you can just scale up to infinity. So you'll see people just floating in the air dancing.
Well, okay then.
There are a lot of issues with that city. Like, I like the concept, but it needed to be more densely packed.
It also has a area literally called 9/11. And it is comprised of 2 towers.
Oh no.
I don't know how hard they thought about that one.
I don't think they thought about that one very much at all.
It is oh boy. The first thing I saw.
Hey Japan, we got to tell you why that's not good.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, the Americans did export a portable sun to 2 of their cities, so...
True.
I mean, in more ways than one, we probably caused this. All right.
Yeah. Let's get out of here.
We will see y'all next week.
Anything else incredibly cursed.
Please feel free to write us about anything terrible you have found in Dawntrail. We'll be happy to comment on it. Keep in mind, we are trying to keep Fern relatively unspoiled for his go through, although he'll be getting emotional reactions from us on certain parts. We're trying to keep the specifics of the main story free from corrupting him.
Frankly, it's kind of hard to tamp them down because of how much we loved this game in the past.
Yeah, and it's just that bad. It's why I have probably written a solid 30 paragraphs in those walls of text of just breaking down everything that I think is wrong. And I'm just up to Mexican Trogdor in those posts. That's
Incidentally, yeah, Mexican Trogdor, that fight was interesting when they've got Zeralja on the team. Once I noticed what he was actually doing, I couldn't unnotice it.
Oh, Vipering?
No, that's the thing. Zeralja in that fight, because I assume he's going to be a proper boss fight later on, because duh. He's just using the standard Mamulja mesh. So he's got 2 attack animations. A stab and a slash. And he's just standing there in one spot doing those over and over and over. Whereas everybody else is flying around and flippy-floppying and casting special effects and that. No, here he is just stabbing.
Well, I think that they probably wanted to play their cards close to their chest at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you will get to fight him as a boss.
Where he actually does vipery things, presumably. He could have at least done some vipery things.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, let's. Okay.
Okay. We'll see y'all next week. Buko Jaja 2024. We will see you then. Sayonara. Bye bye.